Hello everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's TRI Crypto Countdown, TRI Top 100 Review, TRI Crypto Review, Top 100, something like that. I don't know. Been doing this show for a year, and actually the only thing consistent about it is Brian doesn't really know what the hell the title is. But what the hell. We've been having fun. We come together once a week, every Wednesday, and spend a couple hours talking crypto. Actually, it's interesting that we had one site co-host, I guess, a few months ago. He said he wanted to come back to crypto when it was back into easy mode. It was hard mode when he left. And actually, I got the feeling that we're heading back into a bit of an easy mode window. I don't think this is trending easy mode, but if we're lucky, hopefully we have a little window here of maybe a couple months where price can rally a little bit to relieve a bit of the oversold condition, and maybe, if we're lucky, produce some half-decent profits. So we'll see how it goes. Welcome back to the Frivolity. My name's Brian Beamish. This is the RationalInvestor.com. Probably, we should probably try and limit the rhetoric here, get on with analysis, and get to our list, because, considering the market is looking a little bit more uppy, maybe it would be a good idea to look at as many names as possible in this 2-hour window. So with that said, I guess we'll do some quick introductions. My co-hosts this evening, I have two of them. Been with me for a while. In fact, Ben's been with me since day one. How you doing this evening, Ben?
I'm doing great, thanks. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I've just seen that you have 6.66K subscribers on YouTube.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. Congratulations.
Yeah. Suppose it's better than 13 subscribers, but I guess we all know who's driving this bus anyway. Actually, I'm in a little bit of a bummer mood because maybe there's something to it, but I saw the facility that they would like to relocate my son to, and I wasn't overly impressed. So I'm in a bit of a downer mood this evening, but maybe that means I got to go make some more money and go and buy Liam a house so he can actually live a half-decent life.
That's it. Let's do it.
All right. Sounds like a plan. All right. Anyway, so welcome to the call here tonight, and hopefully we'll have some great conversations. And coming in from Europe, we have Paul from Romania. Hello, Paul. Are you on the call?
Good morning. Yeah.
There he
Just
is.
waking up.
So Paul's has his own, actually, little advisory service working away. So I think it's been really good contribution of Paul to come on, talk a little bit about what he's seeing in the market, his approach, and I think you write like a free weekly newsletter, right? And so we also
Something
take a quick
simple, just to
Beg your pardon?
something simple, just to look at the market on
Right.
a weekly basis.
So not a bad sort of content for this weekly show that Paul tells us a little bit about what he's seeing from his perspective. So episodes, I think it's like 54 or something like that. So we've been about this for a year or so now, and I hope you guys are enjoying the content. I think I just told you, speaking of which, we do these shows to try and, we'll leave that for now. I'm not really a big shiller. I'm not very good at the whole shill, but if you do feel like coming on the site and checking out our wares, or, maybe even making a contribution so we can get this video feed and stream up and running on Decentraland, places like that, maybe consider donating to our Ethereum wallet to fund that campaign. As well, of course, too, we run the RationalInvestor.com, the actual site itself. And I have to say, the site itself is just humming along. We've actually been working very diligently over the past 4 or 5 years getting a lot of automated trading systems up and running, and I think it's actually producing some really usable information. Unfortunately, right now it's actually flashing a bit of a warning sign in crypto. So we should probably be a little bit careful here with going and spending a lot of money just in the short term. Probably won't talk too much about the website here tonight, but just we do happen to run a breadth algorithm that measures sort of how many assets are moving up and how many assets are moving down. And anytime you get the whole market all moving in one direction, that's usually a bad sign. So you can see crypto has been trying to push higher here for a while now. We got a little bit of a buy signal there about a week or so ago. But unfortunately, price sure jumped up quickly. Like Ethereum, for example, basically jumped up about 50-60% here in about a week or two. Is that maybe a little too far too fast? Methinks maybe. And our little histogram, I don't know how the best way to describe this to you in the public. Maybe I'll come up with some sort of public sort of how to interpret this. But the long and short of it here is this is like a histogram perspective of this image. And just really simply put, anytime you see the medium and short term heavily overbought, we're not heavily overbought on the medium term, but we are most definitely heavily overbought on the short term. It probably means that we have to take a bit of a pause here. If this starts getting up, in fact, actually, we got a message from the bond market there the other day where everything was ridiculously overbought, 100%. And actually, I put even a tweet out to that effect today, that when you see these kind of signals, 100%, and this was the other day in the bond market, it's saying be damn careful. And sure enough, this is the follow-through. Major technical damage being done in the bond market right now. Which isn't good, because the whole reason why we're pausing here is because of interest rates and this whole problem with inflation. And if this keeps cranking to the downside like this, then that means that we'll go back into that. So that if anything, this is probably the reason why this rally, this little window that we have of risk assets moving up is probably going to be relatively short-lived. And we probably have, into the fall, we probably have another meltdown in the stock market. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge as we come to it. For now, interestingly enough, this is technically a risk-on bet, because in essence, bond prices are probably the best way to show you that. Bond prices themselves are guaranteed investments. And you can see they've been rallying nicely here since the middle of June, so basically about a month or so, but they're starting to roll over. And interesting, right? These are all the risk-off assets. So like bonds, for instance, are guaranteed. Gold's a lump of gold. It just sits there on the ground. And, of course, if you have no interest in the hegemony system and you want to get the hell out, you go and bury your head in the sand and buy Japanese yen. So you can see gold is in big trouble here. Yen, of course, continues to work lower. And now, unfortunately, we have actually like an M within an M actually forming on the bond market. And like I said there a moment ago, all the breadth indicators are rolling over. So in a weird sort of way, that's actually good for risk in the short term. And you can see, there's our bottom in Bitcoin. There's the bottom in the stock market. And oil, of course, completely disconnected because of you-know-who back over there in Eastern Europe. Maybe we can actually get these to start correlating again. I don't know. We'll see. Only time will tell. But it was encouraging to see a bottom coming in on Bitcoin, and interestingly enough, Bitcoin is highly correlated to the tech stocks and the NASDAQ. So it's interesting to see that we're starting to see this more and more, that Bitcoin and crypto is really more acting like a risk asset versus a risk-off asset. And hey, if we're into a risk-on market and we're all about growth, then really, if you were invested in Bitcoin, you want it to be a growth asset. Because I'll tell you, gold, you might find that gold actually has to go into a 15, 20-year bear market here. That's the last thing in the world gold bugs want to hear. So anyway, interesting also too, sort of if you think about just raw commodity prices, U.S. dollar index, which after Tricky Dick's presidency, was basically the world hegemony currency, and you had to buy all your commodities in U.S. dollars. So if the U.S. dollar index itself is just steamrolling higher, that can't be good for commodity prices. So, if anything, if you're a commodity bull, you want to see this top out and actually start to break down. And I don't think that happens until good old Sleepy Joe is told to go sit in the corner this November as the Republicans come storming back into power in the United States. We'll see what happens. My hunch is that is what's going to happen politically down in the States, and then you'll probably see the U.S. dollar top out, and you'll see risk assets actually really start to outperform going forward. But that won't be till November, so we still got a lot of work ahead of us between now and November. And I guess probably the number one reason why I'm thinking that this rally should be relatively short-lived. I mean, it's not going to be a huge rally, but, enjoy it, make hay while the sun's shining, all that kind of conversation. We have a blog on the website, and the gentleman who's in charge of writing the blog is just doing fantastic work. And if you really do want to get a nice education on the market, ironically enough, the blog actually is such an excellent free resource. And one thing that's a little bit bothersome about the market right now is we're stuck in this 2022 decennial pattern. I think we're basically right here right now. So you can see we're probably starting to lift. And like I said, sometime the end of the summer into the early fall, should actually see risk assets get hit pretty hard. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Ironically enough, for the Americans, I think they'll do perfectly fine. If you're a typical Chinese citizen, you better be freaking scared right now. And unfortunately, with quasi-dictators like the guy running my country who sort of fell in love with China, he better start re-examining his love with the United States of America and maybe fall out of love with China, because China right now I think is actually imploding. And it's kind of right now actually going through the exact phase that that the United States went through with Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, AIG, the whole thing. It's almost identical, which is really scary because the Chinese real estate bubble is something like 10 times the size of what the Americans' real estate bubble was. So you saw what the Americans had to do to fix the problem after that bubble. Oh, goodness. Is this even fixable in China? I don't know. But frankly speaking, I would not want to be a Chinese citizen right now. That's not a good place to be hanging out. But the problem here for us in the West is this chart. And really, I think to a certain degree, this speaks very clearly to the current political situation in the United States. I hate to say it, but the political leadership is very weak. And you have a gentleman who's in charge right now who just sounds like he really should be in an old folks' home, which sets a really dangerous backdrop. If jerks in Eastern Europe decide to do things like start murdering people, all hell could break loose. But economically, too, you can see that, we're in this year where second year new Democratic president, this one down here. And I think this is us right here, right now, right? We've pivoted off of the bottom and we're rallying up. The only problem is this rally is incredibly sharp. And it's not really long-lived. And this is kind of what worries me a little bit about the market right now. I mean, Ethereum rallied like 60% in like a week and a half. That's not normal. That's not natural growth. Maybe a little too far, too fast. That's what this whole conversation about. And this is why these tools are so incredibly valuable. Is this thing's pointing out clearly that was too far, too fast. So, yeah, I don't think we're out of the woods. This is going to be a long slog here through this 2022-2023. But if we're lucky, like I said, if you can sneak in off the bottom off a lot of these assets, you could probably bang out pretty good trades, some really nice wins. here heading into the latter part of August, maybe early part of September. But I would say once we're through that latter part of August, early part of September, all bets are off. We're probably heading down into November. Boo, hiss, hiss, boo. It's interesting, about once every 4 years, TRI does like to have a meetup. And we kind of do it contrarian. Usually our meetups are in the years everybody else is dying 1,000 deaths. I'm not very good at timing these meetups. But anyway, we decided to have our meetup this year. And in Portugal, of all places. So we're all going to be meeting. And if you happen to be in Southwestern Europe through late August, early September, our plan is to sell a lot of our assets that we're buying here through the end of June, beginning of July, into that rally peak window to pay for our party in Portugal. And I've put out lots of tweets to that effect, just simply saying, if you can, take advantage. I mean, what's fascinating is the breakout in Ethereum. We even, what's so funny is there is the breakout right there. And then the darn thing, I even publicly said fog and bombs were probably heading up to 1,700. And what would be nice and healthy and natural is we just slowly stair-step our way up. But I think we hit like 1,650 today. It's not supposed to move up that fast. How high did we get here? And, things like ETC. Look at Barry. Why is Barry like doubling in price in 3-4 days? Something stinks about this. But yeah, there's the Ethereum. How high do we get? We came up with a big fat, prediction. I believe the market's going to hit $1,700, right? That was this 2.18 Falcon Bomb. And it's just done it. And there it is. There's the 13th. Okay, come on. That's a little too far, too fast. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. So, if anything, and you can see the internals. Actually, it'd be interesting to hear what Paul has to say. But, basically my message to the community today was, whoa, we've got a lot of sort of calm down. Just, put the mouse down and just let things cool down and clean themselves up a little bit. If we're lucky, this is just, in fact, if we're lucky, what this really is A to B, and then C to D up here, if we're lucky. I mean, let's keep our fingers crossed. Technically speaking, I think you can justify a move up top here. I mean, 4669s, that wouldn't be out of the question. You can see where the old highs are. Still got lots of room to move up. But I guess just the thing that I saw the other day was just, oh my goodness, this is way too far, way too fast. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. I did hear some news that I think kind of, and also too, Bitcoin, I suppose we should probably just touch on that. Here is that breadth indicators. You can see it is getting a little bit overbought. There is the short-term signal from the histogram overbought. And what I noticed, and actually I even sort of challenged the level oneers, because right now the level oneers are just learning about these M's and W's. So we actually had a W come in on Bitcoin back there in the middle of June. And I just said, look, just map this out. This is what your job as a trader is to do, is find these W's. If you're going to buy the breakout of the W, what's a 2-to-1 risk reward? In this particular case, it was a 38.2 fib, which is a very natural level. In fact, one of our site alum, we like to call this the Colin Dump Chaser Zone. 38.2 to 50%. We won't even know if this is no longer a bear until how we actually resolve this teal box up top here. So you can see we've done that now. 2-to-1 profit objectives hit on that setup. Now maybe should we take a little time and clean this up? And really what I've been suggesting to people is if I actually did want to buy Bitcoins, I've got to draw my reload zones and just be patient and disciplined and wait for a revisit of things like this trend line down here. So there's your backdrop. I mean, the market just jumped up there. Maybe a little too far, a little too fast. And the interesting thing is, if we do fog and bombs off of these big W's, well, you can see ultimately it sure looks. In fact, actually, I think I have here. Let's do it on this one so you can see it nice and clearly. We can go there to there. And actually I did this last week with Ethereum. I think Ethereum is going to 1,700 bananas. Well, I think we do the same thing. There you go. I think Bitcoin is going to $28,000. And what's fascinating about that is that's Mr. Tesla announced that he had, I think, his quarterly report and Tesla owning crypto. He announced that I think that's about exactly where he sold all of his crypto. So ironically enough, probably the market's just coming right back to that level as a magnet. And then probably going forward, we're going to do something like maybe a big honkin' head and shoulders kind of thing. And hopefully we get a nice W there, and that sets up another leg higher. So there's your backdrop. And if anything, congratulations. Big shout out I have to give to the team. We were all bullish last week. Imagine that. And there is Ben's written up the number. I think that's Ben, or maybe that's Paul. And green carries the day. So as we've sort of pointed out recently, eventually Paul was going to be vindicated. If you're bullish, Bitcoin's so volatile that if you are uber bullish, eventually, some point, somewhere, the damn market's going to rally and you're going to look good. So way to go, Paul. You nailed it.
Yeah.
And close second by Ben. Nice on balance. We were all bullish. And Brian, even Brian threw on a little bit of a bullish bent there last week. So, looks like the team was kind of thinking in the right direction. That's good. As I've said there a couple times, the one thing that concerns me here is have we maybe moved a little too far, too fast? So with that said, that's sort of my backdrop. What we were thinking about tonight, because there are so many names that have broken out, and really probably the best sort of value, here's an example, Ethereum Classic, boom. The best probably value for you is for us to try and go through as many charts as possible just to try and filter out what are names that are actually in buying locations, what are names that have actually W'd out, what are names that actually have bull divs, and whether even where we are right now is a tradable level. Like here, for example, I could not buy that right there. And you can see how sort of this through our daily videos on the site, we do sort of a mapping out. If I did want to buy, where should I be thinking about, and how should I be thinking about trying to get long? In this particular case, hoping for a trend continuation trade here. So with that said, we've got the spreadsheet set up, and of course I guess what we'll do is at the end of the show we'll chime in to see what the panel's vote is for this coming week. But we also have this coin analysis page. And Ben actually said that he went in and sort of tried to clean up the app a little bit, make it a little bit more user-friendly, maybe a little bit more sort of current information for you. So to that end, maybe over the next few weeks we'll just really try and concentrate on filling this out as much as possible. The only other thing I think I would like to do, I don't know how it fits into the show, but I think it is very good value for you guys, is Paul, would you like to walk through what you're seeing in the market here before we jump into this and give these people an idea of what you're seeing in the marketplace?
Yeah, just a quick look at the market.
Okay. So I'll minimize that. We'll put the Hangout window over here. And I'll stop screen sharing. And Ben Paul, as soon as you want to screen share, we'll show these good people your screen, and you can take a few minutes and tell them what you're seeing in the market. Here comes his presentation. Hey, there he is. I'll hit the F11 button. I always screw this up. Let's see what happens. Survey says, boom. Nope, that's wrong. Let's try the other button. Survey says. Does that work? No. Don't know what I've done there. Oh, let's see. That's interesting. That's that button. Okay, well, one of these buttons is going to work. Let's try this one. Survey says. Hey, there we go. We did it. All right. All right, you've got the floor, sir. Tell the good people who are watching what the heck you're seeing in the market here.
This newsletter is made at the end of the week, so it's from Sunday night. So
I beg your pardon?
3 days old. This presentation is 3 days old, so this newsletter.
All right. Well, I mean, you can always throw it. It looks like you got 2 or 3 Bitcoin charts up there going, so you could always just add your 2 cents on what's happening in real time if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, on weekly chart, nothing changed. We are still in a bear market. The trend is still down. The first signs of some release from last week. As I said last Wednesday, the crypto P-cycle bottom fired the buy signal. Was a nice way to see the market. Who wants to look at the market with P-cycle? The daily chart. When I made this newsletter, the W it was just forming. We didn't have the breakout. On the 4-hour chart, we are on the last week, 2 weeks ago, we are top of the range. And on Sunday, already had the breakdown on reload zone and then back up to the top of the range. Bitcoin dominance was exactly in the middle of the range at 44, 45 level. Well, it'll be a nice way to take a look now to see the dominance on weekly chart. Let's just see the market with BTC. Just 1 second. Let's go on 1 week chart. Yeah, in the same, approximately in the same spot. We have this big W, a small W. The dominance just broke up to the top of the range, then back down to the middle of the range and retest of this big W, even this one. So this exactly in the middle of the range, like Sunday, just a bit up. Ethereum versus Bitcoin, just a big spike up on the last week for the last week. Let's see now how it looks. I start on do my charts on Binance. Let's see if we have something different now. No, same thing. Just a big spike from the bottom of the range, a nice W, and just a spike up to the retest of this big M, exactly in the middle of the range. Maybe how Brian says was too far, too fast. Maybe it needs to cool down at the middle of the range, and maybe we'll see Ethereum going from the middle of the range to top of the range in next couple of months.
Well, this is relative to Bitcoin. Like I see, it looks like Bitcoin's sort of waking up here, right?
On this one?
Yeah.
No, the Ethereum is waking up.
Well, I see a shooting star there. And as we said, too far, too fast. I think you can make the argument that the low there was at like 0.047 or something like that. And the rally was above 0.7. So seeing a pullback down into about 5.6 would make sense.
Yeah, retest of this W will be
right. And so that would be Bitcoin outperforming Ethereum.
Yep. Yeah. But this week is not. We have to wait for the close of this candle. We have a couple of days.
Yeah, well, actually, it's interesting. Like the Bitcoin charts, like as you saw off of mine, we rallied up and we've kind of made like almost a bit of a fractal top, whereas the Ethereum actually looks like it's carving out a pretty well-defined trading range right now. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what plays out. And this is a weekly chart too, eh? So.
Yeah, it's a weekly. I'm looking at the weekly chart. Total 2 was a nice bounce from the 500 billion market. Let's see now, has to be a bit up from what I saw that. So, 1 second. Total 2, let's see. Yeah, so compared with this level with this green dotted line is the all-time highs from 2017. So we bounced from exactly this area. We made a nice W. I usually don't use TA on these charts of total market cap, but take a look at that. The top of the bull market in 2017 act like a support. So we could bounce until this area, maybe a short reload zone, but I usually don't do TA on this chart. The news, the altcoin, yeah, now they are a bit up, so I'm just waiting a reload zone to pick up some of my favorite altcoins for sell half on the double. I don't have anything in particular to most of the altcoins. They look the same. They just gone a bit up too far, too fast. Now I'm just waiting in the reload zone.
Is there a like a product on Binance that just basically is that total crypto market cap minus Bitcoin? I'm sure they probably have some sort of product on there that you could just buy that you'd just basically be playing that market.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'll have to search.
Maybe if you guys on YouTube watching this, if you happen to know of what a symbol might be, that might be a smart way to play this. I'm not quite sure which particular, because frankly speaking, I don't think a lot of the altcoins really have booming fundamental information right now.
Just give me a homework for next week.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, what are we looking at here? Bitcoin, Tether,
yeah,
US,
just the last trade, that last scalp I made. So just the reload zone, top of the market, reload zone. My favorite setup, Mountain Man, 61.8. Put the order in the market, hit damn level, 2 to 1. Go to sleep, and that just the last scalp on.
Interesting, and that was
just
recent?
just a bit down, not exactly to pick up a Mountain Man on the short side, just a bit was missing, but I had the order, but the market, and then comes the news of Elon selling 75% of the crypto from Tesla.
So that's interesting. So you were gonna try and short that 61.8. You just didn't get filled.
Yeah, if I get the chance, but I had the order in the market, but I didn't get a fill.
Wow, what a cool testament to good old Mountain Man, Brandon. You should be impressed.
Yeah, just damn nice. Take a look at that sniper level.
Mm-hmm.
You just hit this one, and exactly just enough to get you a feel, and then back up.
Yeah, that's
this one. Well, I don't know. If couple of more dollars, let's see. This one is 39, $20, something like that. Was missing to fill my order.
Yeah. Fascinating.
And then the news of the Tesla, and the market broke down, and I just stopped trading, because with that the news, the TA is not well respected. So at least on the smaller time frame on 5 minutes. So it just, but I like to see the initial dump, and then no, this was the Tesla, I guess. I don't know exactly. Let's see that one. No, this one. Up, down, just a reload zone of this W, this a retest of this W. So the market is not too impressed about Tesla selling their Bitcoin. It's something is done already. So I don't think
what's a 61.8 retracement of that range? And was it like from there to there? And why would you not consider buying that 61.8?
This one, I will consider it, but I was sleeping. This one.
Oh, there you go.
Just a second.
Oops.
Yeah, damn nice.
Yeah,
the same thing. Yeah, a bit too close to the stop loss, but I usually put $2 above the 61 and the stop loss $1 below, $2 below the 78.
Wow,
but yeah,
been close.
Yeah,
fascinating.
But yeah, it's a valid setup.
And ironically enough, that 5-minute chart actually looks like the double bottom that I was showing off of like the daily chart. It's incredible how it always looks. It all ends up looking the same in the end.
Yeah, a nice W on the reload zone. So
yeah, that's not
pick up this. You pick up this W. You had 2-1.
If anything, it makes sense that the market had sort of a violent reaction to that news, and then went, well, so then that means he's out.
Yeah, he's out. He sold his Bitcoin. So
what significance is that?
Yeah.
And so, ironically enough, you can see the market just jumped right back up, and then what it looks like to me is it's trying to carve out some sort of bottom here.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at the bull div there. Fascinating.
Yep. Yeah. I saw that.
So you can see there, that's actually a really good concept that we teach in our education program, kind of like a hidden weapon that we teach our traders.
Yeah. I like to use the 3-minute, 5-minute chart.
Yeah.
Let's go 4 hours to see my range, my favorite range.
Oh, that doesn't look good. What the hell's that?
No, it's just the way I framed the market. I framed the market in the last month.
Yeah, I know. Just that chart that you just had up there had a wicked bearish divergence working now, so that's not a good sign.
Yeah, no, though that was the Ethereum versus Bitcoin on weekly chart. I guess I don't know. I'll have to switch back. So the range was broken exactly as we discussed last week on 20 July, exactly on the day.
Yeah, like it would be interesting to draw a 61.8 fib off of that range.
From this one?
I don't know. Do you think you go off of that most recent low, or would you do the whole range?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll do the whole range the first time.
It's just the point is that
we'll see if the
there you go.
Yeah.
So what's that number? About 21,000.
Yeah. We're close to the middle of the range. Yeah. If I put a volume profile, probably the POC will be in this area.
Yeah.
Yes, just see if I have a tool, you see VPVR, it's a good one. Yeah. It's a good. No, don't do that.
Interesting how the POC is right there.
Yeah, the POC is exactly in the reload zone, so could be a nice zone to pick up some Bitcoin, at least for this rally.
Maybe Ben, what do you think? Should we add that chart to the app?
Yeah, we can find somewhere to pop it in.
What do you think? Is that a good idea? Maybe, could you maybe just take well, I don't think we need the indicators, but just for prices reference for people, could you maybe take a screenshot of that, hit the little camera
Or
button
even better, Paul, if you could give me just get a link to the image.
Yeah, I can do that. Copy
drop it in our chat.
On the link. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome. Cool. Thanks.
That's it. And this is kind of what I was hoping that we'd do here, is that we would just just see if we can identify some levels for you guys to consider as we move through the next weeks or. So there, Paul has done so, and Ben, Rocket. Or is there any particular altcoins that have your attention now? Or are you just saying that they all basically look the same?
Yeah, they basically look the same. You just have to wait for a reload zone. They're beat up for my taste, for a swing trade. We have to wait for a nice reload zone, maybe a W on 4-hour chart.
Maybe pull up the Ethereum chart and tell people what you see there, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, just a second. Let's see Ethereum. On Binance, usually. Yeah, I have some levels exactly that. It's just too far, too fast. Let's see the indicators. Yeah, we have all this rally. We had some warning signs. This was a potential divergence. I don't know if it wasn't confirmed yet, but take a look at that. Nice. It's a nice bearish divergence confirmed. Really was overbought, sorry. We had some, I don't know if you can say that is a bearish divergence, but already had some MEMS on the OBV chart, OBV indicator. So if I want to take a long on this one, if I want to pick up a long, I'll do exactly the same thing from the top to the bottom, just a nice reload zone. But here I'll add the pump chaser zone because of the news from Ethereum could be a nice pump chaser zone if I, let's see, 38.2 where is. 1 second, let's deactivate the background. Yeah, you see I'll just manually put the pump chaser zone. So you can stop here, form a nice W and back up. Probably. It's a bit strong now. Yeah, you went too far too fast, but it's still a strong trend. So.
Yeah, I don't like the look of that MACD, boy.
No. The Bitcoin had the same thing all this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
only in MACD until now, but we don't have any divergence in at least on 4-hour chart because this was a lower high in this one, so this is not a divergence on OBV. But we had some M's in OBV. Now it's a big one, so. Yeah, first up,
we'll get another push higher here, but
yeah, I'll search for a nice long in pump chaser zone. If not, I'll get another shot at in the nice reload zone. But I don't think we'll go back to reload zone. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I like Wade's comment there, pointing out Willie kind of got a little stupid there, so.
Yeah.
Usually when Willie gets stupid, it's dangerous to be a buyer.
You don't have any business to buy Ethereum on this, especially if you are a TRI or follow the TRI. You saw Brian a couple of weeks ago buying Ethereum at $1,000, so why buy it now?
Yeah, if anything that bothers me, I'm a little disappointed this moved up so darn quickly. But oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
look at this, nice. Yeah, so you had your chance to
so you might join me there at 1250 or so, eh?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe,
Okay.
This level
I mean, if
wasn't,
you want to add that
bank
to
of
the...
check.
What's that?
This level wasn't bank of check. So we didn't do a retracement to this level.
Yeah. So we can definitely see. Ben, what do you think? Would you take a stab off that?
Yeah, I'll try to do that. I'll put my order in the market.
Oh, do you? And you're really having a lot of fun trading on Binance, eh? So good for you.
Yeah, it's the only place I trade.
Man, the Canadians, they're just... I don't know whether they're happy with Binance or not right now, but man, they are really... they're coming down hard on crypto right now. I went to the bank the other day to move some money over to a futures brokerage house, and they all freaked out that they thought I was investing in crypto. It's like,
Yeah.
it's obviously they clearly got a very specific message from higher ups. They don't even bother looking into my investment experience. They don't even bother looking into who the firm is that I'm actually moving the assets to. They just have a very canned response. Oh, is this crypto? Is this crypto? We have to call and do a client compliance, anti-money laundering and all that nonsense.
Yeah, like crypto be laundering money.
Anyway. All right, well, that's kind of cool. Thank you for the contributions there. It gives everybody a nice, fresh, different look at price action.
Yeah, I like to use the ranges because I know the charts usually are in the range 70 to 80% of the time. So I try to find the range every damn time.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so it's easy for me to trade in a nice range, to see the market in the range.
Okay. All right. Ben, you feel like adding anything to this conversation here this evening? Do you want to look at a chart or two? Is there anything that's jumped out at you?
No, I mean, I'm happy for you to go through and look at some charts.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I personally definitely felt the FOMO this week and had to had to fight and look at that Willy and tell myself not to chase. And I mean, I'm secretly hoping for a little bit of a pullback and see if I can sneak in there, because it does feel like it's a strong market. And
we definitely turned some sort of corner here, eh?
Yeah, today was yeah.
If anything,
those dips came in, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that. Like I've been saying a few times here, we moved up awfully quickly. But if anything, kind of like that chart that Paul's got on the screen, maybe what I'll do is I'll take over the charting now, and I'll put on. It almost looks like there's a sine wave going on here, and I wonder if there's like some cycle that we can discern. So I'm going to hijack this screen share again. Thank you so much, Paul. Great presentation as always. Hey, there's Ben. Hi, Ben. We just got a big screenshot of Ben. Hi, Ben. Let's see. We'll move over here, and then we'll go there, and then we'll go back down to here. And let's just make sure you guys in the call can see what I'm talking about. But I kind of noticed when Paul was running through those charts there. Actually, that's probably not the one I want to look at. Where's the one I want to look at? I think it's over here. I thought it was just kind of interesting that... here, let's get rid of all this stuff. Boom. I wonder... You could probably... where do I have this? Sine wave? Where is the sine wave? There we are. Notice how there's a peak, trough, peak, trough, peak. Doesn't it kind of look like it's on almost like a bit of an agenda here? Yeah, there we go. Look at that, eh? That's what I was kind of... I saw that as Paul was sort of chit-chatting away with you guys. Look at that. So... that alone right there would actually give me a bit of pause.
Yep.
Big rally up here. Do we need to have some window like this? And actually, this would actually make really good sense. Now, Why would I? This would be an interesting trivia question. Let's see if you guys can read my mind here. Why would Brian be okay with this asset actually going down into that date there? Ben already got the damn answer. Jeez, you're so quick. You're getting good at reading my mind. Next Wednesday, the 27th, 1 week from now. Why would Brian be okay with this actually happening?
Yeah. Maybe a nice bounce the other side of the Fed.
Yeah. No, it's not Brian's birthday. Oh, and by the way, Paul, Wade says, I learned a lot from you, Paul, so thank you. So I really like that. But what I've noticed over my career is if the market actually, for whatever it's worth, on the, and I didn't see anybody on YouTube answer, but maybe I'm moving forward too fast. They probably are just hearing it now. But we have a Fed meeting coming up down in the States next Wednesday. Do they raise interest rates? All that kind of fun stuff. And what I've just noticed in my career is that if the market actually rallies into that Fed meeting, that's actually not a good sign. Because usually what ends up happening is that's like a buy the rumor, kind of hoping that whatever the event is, it will be better than what people are expecting, kind of idea. Buy the rumor. And then, unfortunately, when the actual news event happens, the market needs to relieve that overbought condition, and you get a sell the news scenario. We don't want to see that. If you're actually bullish, and Ben's saying here that the next Fed meeting, which is interesting, is not for quite a while. So that's an interesting comment, Ben. What was the date of the next one? It's way out here, right? It's a bit scary. All the way,
that'd be my birthday.
Oh yeah? What's that? The
Yeah.
20. What was that?
22nd is
21st.
There's also an autumnal equinox and usually a pivot point in crypto.
Oh boy. Yeah, you're right. Usually it's boom. Actually, interesting. Our little sine wave thesis. Notice we are supposed to rally into that event. Uh-oh. Anyway, so we're going to call this, in fact, I kind of like that. We're going to call this the Ben Koff birthday check. I'll leave that on the screen. So, anyway, back to our story here. If the market actually sells off into the Fed meeting, and that's if you are bullish of the market and you want to make money from capital gains, all that kind of stuff, this is the scenario you want to see. Because then it's a sell the rumor, buy the news scenario. So if anything, that's kind of what you want to see. And to be perfectly honest with you, I really like that image. It just as keep it simple, stupid kind of thinking. If you're going forward, and probably a good idea, Ben, you didn't chase. If you just, where am I here? Which one do I want? I guess I want this one. If we think about what was the correction off of that move, that was 15% from peak to trough. All right. What was the correction off of this move? Well, that's also another about 15% move. What do you think the odds are? We're probably going to get about a 15% correction on this move. So something along those lines. 15%. Be sort of down in that area. Yeah, something like that. And interesting, that's 20,500. And we know good old Paul is sitting there licking his chops. Right in that zone. So I think that makes sense. So, I mean, I don't think it dips this far. Probably more something like that. But if anything, the fact that the sine wave is sort of petering out, we have kind of exhausted ourselves. Maybe we have some sort of counter trend rally here. if this does M out, you can kind of see, look at this pretty M up here. That might actually set up a short trade if you are so inclined off lower time frames, futures traders, those kind of good people. You can see the M happened here, worked out to be a pretty nice trade. So I'm going to be watching for that. And then I think we also showed you that, unfortunately, well, actually, that's maybe not so bad off the dailies. Actually, that's good. Not a lot of technical damage off these daily charts. So that, like I said, that's encouraging. The only technical damage, really, I mean, on balance, higher highs and higher lows define a bull market. So everything seems to be not just humming along. This is just a technical pullback in a bull run. I guess probably the technical damage that I'm speaking of is off of things like 4 hours. Even 4 hour, that's not really too bad. Willie is kind of stupid there, though, so we should probably be careful. So, anyway, as I said, actually this high here, 231.43 right there, 231.43. And what do we have here? We have 238, so not quite a div. Still fighting like the dickens. Interesting, you can see the buying pressure is waning here. And if we actually get a 4 hour candle that does less than 421 coins there, that actually turns into a sell signal. So be forewarned. Off these like 4 hour charts, like I said, we could easily see a pullback. Actually, this is a really interesting commentary. I would consider that a full profile. Yeah, it's pretty full. So if you're going to get pullbacks into this area, it's almost like it's going to slam down into this whole area where people are long. You can see that's a lot of people in there. And, the powers that be, we talk about institutional fingerprints. Who puts bottoms in markets? I mean, when you see that profile and you see it so full, and you ask yourself, well, who is it that's actually long? Well, there's an institutional fingerprint. There's an institutional fingerprint. This was a really, really good institutional fingerprint because it was on a bearish news item that had everybody in the market freaking out to the downside, and you can see what happened after that bearish news. This is a really good example of sell the rumor, buy the news. So, like I said, into that Fed meeting, this is actually what you'd like to see. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make here for you guys is you look at this, that if you understand profile, then you understand there's a lot of people long this asset here, and they probably don't want to see it go down here before it goes up top, and they, sell some and, book some profits. So, on balance, like I said, higher highs and higher lows defines a bull. I just think we just got a little too far ahead of ourselves there. So, I think we'll probably... I just wanted to add that sine wave comment. That jumped out at me, and I think there's some value in that information. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Where should we begin with this? What do you think we should do here, Ben? How do we fill in as much as we possibly can here tonight?
I would say just picking up from the top of the list and go work your way down. Yeah.
All right. I guess we can use this chart. I think we'll probably stick with the dailies. Just try and keep the analysis as simple as possible for you guys. So. All right, so BNB, what are we going to measure this thing against?
USD?
Suggestion?
USDT on Binance.
Versus Tethers?
Yeah.
All right.
Has a lot of volume.
What a surprise. There's a big honking W working there.
Yeah.
It's shocking, I tell you. Shocking. Actually, it's something you can probably learn from this profile. Let me do a quiz with the YouTube audience. Or should I not do quizzes? We want to get through as many of these as possible, right? So screw the quiz. Anyway, try and do this fairly quickly for you. See if we can get through as many names as possible. In fact, we probably should start off with the weekly chart. So, are we in a... Now, I mean, here's the problem. I'm not going to comment on the actual fundamentals of this. Is this even a cryptocurrency? I don't even know. I don't think it is. I think it's basically, an exchange proxy coin. That's probably the way that I would describe this, but oh well. Weekly basis, we are back into reload zones, but we're staring at the biggest, ugliest M you have ever seen there, right? Up, down, up, see you later. And we've actually confirmed this M. So this is, one of the reasons why I don't think crypto is done correcting for a long shot. Now, the good part about it is you can see they're trying to put in some bullish divergence here off the weekly chart and the MACD histogram. Quite often, though, what we find is that maybe this confirms on this little rally that we're expecting. Then the market comes down, makes another low, maybe puts in a W, and then this comes back up, and we have what's called a double divergence. And, of course, everybody knows Brian, being the consummate male, red-blooded creature, loves his double Ds. But I would say that technically speaking, this is not what you really want to see. If like, hey, I want to invest my money in a bull market, that's not what you want to see. And probably if we look at the Bitcoin chart with what Musk did, the one thing I will say about Musk, whether you like him or lunk him, I mean, considering I have a low functioning special needs autistic child. I'm not overly impressed with the way he acts around autism. But if it's one thing that maybe I respect out of Mr. Musk is the fact that in his Tesla report, he basically said that on the technical failure of this key support line, he liquidated, a big chunk of his Bitcoins. So, I mean... As I had said earlier, maybe I've said this in previous broadcasts with you, you're only as good as you are at following your plan. And if his plan was, if this thing breaks down and starts to show some weakness, breaking through support, I'm going to get out, well, you have to commend him for following his plan. So actually, I do respect him in that regard. Same sort of thing here. What's the trend on something like this? Investment grade. It's not good. And I would even argue, this is a concept that we teach in our education program, volume profile. We call that a D. And unfortunately, what usually happens 9 times out of 10 is we have to come right back down to this shelf at some point down the road and actually bottom off of that shelf. So I certainly can't say this is investment grade. What I would just simply say is we have come down an awful long way. And, like you saw how Paul started off his broadcast with, if we draw the weekly price chart on Bitcoin, we're still in a bear. Well, I would say the same thing here. And just this A, B, C, D actually just says we need to go down to $100, just south of that. So there's your backdrop. What they often say is, do you really want to swim against the tide? Going and investing in this here, you say, well, Brian, it's in the reload zone, so that's okay, isn't it? It's okay. Nanny nibbles, you're going to just go and do little nibbles. You're not chasing an up market, so I feel okay about that. Are you going to have to sit on this asset for 2 or 3 years waiting for it to ultimately bottom and start turning back up? You might. The cadence of our trade process, trade location. So that's sort of the first criteria. So if we said, the 3 steps, location, indicator, confirmation, price structure, we can say check to trade location. You're not chasing the market, so that's okay. Do we have indicator confirmation yet? Yeah, it's kind of sketchy. I mean, hell, Willie still hasn't even gotten stupidly oversold here yet. So I don't think on a weekly basis we've turned. Cute little W in RSI, and you can see the Bollinger Bands did contract here. So to all intents and purposes, there is energy building for some sort of rally. Do we actually have a confirmed bullish momentum divergence here? No. So yes, we have trade location. Do we have indicator confirmation yet? I don't think so. This is probably a really good analogy of the simple fact that price here, I don't think this is a, how do you say this? I don't think that people are abandoning BNB. I think this is just simply, of course, this is all circle jerk, orgy. Look at all the volume here, public going crazy. Ah! And then, of course, we had, ironically enough, wasn't that the Dogecoin peak? This was the DeFi peak. What I see here is Dogecoin still pretty active. The DeFi peak, holy volume divergence, Batman. So really, it's almost like people just stopped participating after the Dogecoin. Like this. And also, too, remember, this was the big Coinbase ICO. Or, I guess, IPO. ICO, sorry. So, if anything, I believe that and I also believe that Mr. Musk probably had some sort of secret back office deal. Pump up crypto, pump up the whole space. We got to get this Coinbase IPO off the ground. Wall Street wants to cash in to the tune of, I don't know how many hundreds of billions of dollars they cleaned out of the public's pockets. As soon as that Coinbase IPO happened, basically the smart money walked away. And the sad thing is we did have that pump into November, December of last year, and what I see here is that was a trap. So really, we can't really get uber bullish about this thing until you actually start seeing the buyers actually coming back in earnest. Notice here, see how quiet the volume is, and then all of a sudden the buyers start coming back in earnest, and hey, there's a nice little breakout, and probably, yeah. So, I mean, look at this. This is really what you want to see, eh? See how we go. Reload zones down in here. You look down at your indicators, bullish divergence, RSI bottoming, Willie stupid, and look at the volume ramping up here. That's your signal that, hey, I'm a bull, strong like bull. So, it's just not there. So, okay, so that's sort of the higher time frame picture. The daily picture, there is that little W that we were talking about a few minutes ago. There is that sort of daily divergence that's really trying like the dickens to come in, but it looks like it's actually stalling out here. Also, too, this is probably a really good conversation about Mr. Hoagland and value. If you don't know who Mr. Hoagland is. We introduced you to him in our level 2 education program. He's a huge fan of volume profile. And really the rule is, and it's kind of funny because he even doesn't like me making reference to it anymore. But when I worked with Mr. Hoagland, the whole idea was if the market could accept back into value, and that's sort of the bottom here, if it can accept back into this range, and actually, maybe you see it a little bit better here. So you can see we got sort of to the bottom of value, and it sort of was like, okay, do we really want to accept lower? Then a big W comes in. So if we can accept back into value, i.e. W's, then theoretically, 80% of the time, we should travel right back up to value high here. We used to call that the Hoag 80% rule trade. Now he just calls it the special situation trade or something like that. I'm not quite sure. Anyway. I suppose what I would say if I was just looking at this chart on first blush, it's kind of like this move here, a big dump, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, counter trend rally. So hopefully we've had our big dump, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, putting in that structure. And now, hopefully, we get our nice little counter trend rally. Some objectives I would have in the near term, reload zone against that previous high. And, of course, that would be sort of a revisit of value high. That's up into the $400 area. And then probably also too, we can do things like Bombs, Chaos Theory. We could probably do one off of that bottom. So this should give us some levels. Boom, there we go. Interesting, 4669 lines up with one of my favorite fibs, the 78.6. Maybe a little bit of a tell here. If this thing does rally up top, Paul, maybe refrain from hitting that 61.8 blindly. Because you can kind of see that if it does get above this high, this is kind of like all open air. And we often say, look left. So if we can clear through this high here, then actually the next key resistance is there. So I'd be leery about hitting that 61.8 blindly. It's interesting on the profile that you can see that there's actually two zones. There's a zone here that needs filling in. We'd call that a muwak. And then there's a zone here that needs filling in. We call that a muwak. So maybe we zip up and do something like that and then break down. I could see something like that happen. That wouldn't be outlandish. I would use these two targets in the near term. So clearly this range, and it's incredible how the market actually sets this stuff up. So, looking at this particular range, if we do reload zones, oh, look at that, 2.618 lining up with that 78.6 right into that candle wick. And notice that that's actually nothing more than just a rally right back into this structural fail zone. So if I was going to have an upside objective in the near term, I really like this 309. And also notice, too, that if we get a rally up into there, whoops, oh geez, now what am I doing? Sorry everyone, let's try that again. We get a rally up into here that really all that's doing is just trading back to the POC. Then maybe we come back and fill this in a bit, all in here. So location, I always like the idea of green boxes, and what I usually tell people is it's usually not in your best interest to make big bearish bets in green boxes or bullish bets in red boxes. So we're right back up at the top of the green box. I suppose I might argue that if I really wanted to hunt a trade on this, I would just simply draw a reload zone of this particular recent range. And, given all our conversation about how maybe crypto needs to take a bit of a break, I think you can make the argument that a nice dip down into this reload zone. There's Paul just sitting there waiting. I don't know whether we have a P on here or not. No. Anyway, we'll just do a text for him. So he'll just get a big capital P. So there's Paul just sitting there at Mountain Man. Now here's a good example where you can see that Mountain Man actually is the POC of this particular range. So could we see a pullback down, tag the POC, and it bounce back up to set up Paul's trade? That would be absolutely cliche. So also too, we talk about horizontal support and resistance. There's a support level. There's another support level. So my hunch is, and actually interesting, how on the other side of value here, you can see there's not really that much interest in doing business down here. So any kind of dip down into here, I think, is actually going to set up a really interesting buying window. So with all that said, how do you think we should add this to our spreadsheet here, Ben? What do you think we should do? And Paul, by all means, if you want to chime in here.
Yeah, if you'd like to just drop a link to the image in the box, in the chat.
Okay. Copy link. So do you think this is an okay one to do?
Yeah, that's great.
So I think what we'll say is trade location. Ironically enough, this actually isn't bad for higher time frame, but trade location ideally. Of course, I love reload zones inside reload zones. So if we get like double reload zones or triple reload zones, Brian gets all crazy. So really, that's the level that I'd love for you to concentrate on. I don't know whether Paul would be interested in that. Does that bug you, Paul? Should we take that P out of there?
No, it's okay.
All right, cool. And actually, you can even see, right? This whole area, what should happen here is we should just literally bang back and forth. And then if we can accept above the block, fascinating, that is 2.618. In fact, anybody who's a fan of chaos theory, this works really, really well. So you can see how 2.618 against this market structure top is going to be a bit of a pivot. What probably should happen, obviously no guarantees in this business, but what should happen is we should hit 2.618, then we should come back and test that original breakout, and then if this is still a bull, we go up to 4669. And then on that push, we end up filling in this part of the profile, and then of course that's that Hogue value trade completed. So that's sort of what I'm thinking here right now. So I'll give this, do you want me to just dump it into here?
Yep, that sounds good.
Why don't we, it might be a good idea, is why don't we put this date reference here, and then we can put today's date reference here. What day is today? 20th? 19th?
Yeah. Yeah, 20th.
Is it the
20th, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So then that way, as we sort of work through the weeks, maybe we can do a little bit better job. So location, interesting. We'll say top of RLZ. Momentum div, I'm going to say meh. Structure, well, W in place. Something like that. I don't know whether that works or not, but maybe what we'll say is divs getting bold. I don't know, something like that. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, ADA.
Just, Brian, if you want, just take a quick look at BNB versus Bitcoin. Look,
Versus
quite
Bitcoin?
interesting. Yeah. Only the BNB is a bit different from the other altcoins.
Oh, that doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
So,
if you zoom out, it's a double top.
Oh, yeah. This is a daily chart, too, eh? Wow.
Yeah, and has very like what and has on the. So
Interesting.
if you want to buy BNB, better buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, I don't know how we interpret this. So we said that the daily chart's looking a little, let's go back and, so I guess versus Tether, you can see that there's a potential fractal coming in here. So versus currency, and I mean this could be some serious money, eh? If we fail here, what is that? Yeah, it's like a 15-20% drop. So what happens if BNB, and keep in mind, I don't even know whether Binance is even going to be allowed to exist going forward here, folks. I mean, like I said, it's not Bitcoin. They're apples and oranges. They're not even remotely the same. I don't even know whether you can even call BNB a cryptocurrency. I mean, I suppose it is, but it's nothing at all like what Bitcoin is. So they're apples and oranges. Actually, one of TRI's principals, Julian, he loves this Tom DeMark indicator. Fascinating how we're getting 8s and 9s here. In this particular case, you can see all it did was it meant, hey, we got to sort of go sideways here a bit. This case here, you can see that led to a precipitous drop. So if nothing else, when you throw on your Tom DeMark studies and you see 8s and 9s on your chart, you better be careful. But if anything, this almost reiterates kind of what I was thinking when I was talking about Bitcoin versus Ethereum there earlier. That it looked to me like Bitcoin Ethereum that had a shooting star. This guy here, I would imagine if we look at that on a weekly basis, that's going to be a shooting star as well. Oh no, that's even worse. That's an outside downside reversal bar. Oh boy. It's not quite a key reversal. Right now all it is railroad tracks. And of course, what is it? It's Wednesday, so obviously this week is still pretty young. But if we finish like that and you trade through that low next week, oh my goodness, that is a ridiculously huge sell signal. So, in a weird sort of way, the exact opposite. Actually, this is a good example of Hoag's value trade, but going the other direction. So, and actually, oh goodness, like you look, remember I had said earlier P's and D's. This, whenever I see that, that scares the hell out of me. Because what this really means is what we need to do is trade back down to that level there. Uh-oh, Jesus, that looks uglier than ugly. So, oh boy, caveat emptor. The only problem is I don't know how we fit this on our spreadsheet, but long and short of it here, that looks rather troublesome. Ironically enough, if you were actually long from the bottom and you hadn't sold before, that's not a bad place to let them have some, to be honest with you. I would say this is a weekly chart, so that is a railroad track. So if you wanted to hit that, fine. I would say that this thing is officially trending lower versus Bitcoin. If we actually start putting in like bearish structure below lines like that. So you might find that this thing, all it does is it just comes down and swims against that trend line there. That wouldn't surprise me in the short term. So, and really, what is this suggesting? Maybe this is just suggesting that BNB coin just flounders and Bitcoin actually enjoys a very substantial rally. Well, that could easily be the case. So, interestingly enough too, though, and this is a good commentary on It's a Trader's Life. I would not fault you if you had said, well, Brian, I'm getting off topic here. You know what? Let's not go down that road. I think the analysis and the numbers that we did earlier are good, and let's move on to the next one. And frankly speaking, like I said, I would not ever... If somebody said to me, okay, I want to invest in cryptocurrencies, Brian, what's a cryptocurrency that I really want to be invested in for the future? I would never say BNB. That's not a cryptocurrency. That is Binance's sort of coin, their house coin. So anyway, was there anything else off of this Binance versus Bitcoin chart that you wanted to mention, Paul, or other than just the fact that it looks ugly?
Triple top and the divergence in one day. So
yeah. Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's get on to that ADA, which is the next one on the hit list. Tethers? So we're going to do it against Tethers as well? What the hell, why not? Well, if it's one thing that I would say this asset is, it sure looks cheap. So, Brian's a cheap ass by nature, so... So volume not there because they're kicking everyone off their exchange. All right. And so Matador, what do you think? For people at raw demand for BNB coin, if there are fewer users on the site and they're not doing all that crazy, was it Sushi Swap? Was that Binance's off-chain thing or whatever? Was it Sushi Swap? I don't know. Ben, do you know? What was Binance's DeFi?
Pancake Swap.
Pancake, beg your pardon.
Yeah.
So if all of that business has disappeared because basically DeFi's gone back into the cupboard, then I could understand. It's actually ironic that... all right, take it easy, Paul. It's ironic that we have ADA on the screen because I remember distinctly I went to Europe a few years ago and I was in Switzerland with one TRI site member. And sadly, here's 2018. This is when I was in Europe. And he was all excited about ADA and staking and all that kind of fun stuff. And he had to sit there and just go through an absolute torture test. And look, you can even say into March of 2020, right? That was the whole sickness sort of craziness. This thing was at new lows. I mean, holy depression central. Could you see a scenario like this for the DeFi community as we go through this correction window? I actually think yes. And I also think, too, that, and you guys have seen all my Bitcoin cycle study charts and stuff, 2023 is probably going to be a heck of a lot like 2019. I could very easily see a repeat of this kind of price action. Are we somewhere in here and our little seasonal summer rally is something like that, and then we crap out into the winter? Maybe. I mean, that is a very realistic possibility. And the good part about this is that, if you did start to buy here and you were buying here and you bought here and you bought here, you can see that on balance, your average isn't a hell of a lot different. And then when this thing actually does start to rock and roll, maybe all of these purchases all averaged out, maybe your price is something like, right there. And you look down the road and you go, gee whiz, that was a pretty smart idea, just slowly accumulating. But this is the market state that we're in right now. Look at the asset this go round. Ironically, I mean, we don't have that much data, so you can't really see over here. But you can see very similar sort of pattern. I suppose I could probably try and find this on another exchange where we could actually see where this previous low was. My hunch is this was basically right back into reload zones and all that kind of fun stuff. If we look at this on a weekly basis, kind of like what I did with the BNB there a minute ago. I think first and foremost, oh goodness, what's this profile? We've talked about this. If anything, you guys should be getting really good at these profiles now. You should now get to the point where you see these damn D profiles in your sleep. And I remember distinctly when price was up here, and we looked at a bunch of these, and I went, oh my goodness, that's where everybody's long this damn thing. And so as a result, everything has to come right back down to where everybody's long. I really hope you guys are learning this. I really, really, really hope you're learning this. Great Del Moody says, but as you showed earlier, interest in DeFi has dried up. Yeah, and I think that's probably the problem, right? DeFi in a weird sort of way, especially, like and actually it'd be interesting to do sort of a survey of the YouTube audience here. How many of you have actually done a trade on your MetaMask wallet today? Anyone? I'm going to take a bite of my dinner here. Let's wait for somebody on YouTube to say something. There's a nope. Hey, there's Ben. Is that you, Ben? You're over there too? All right. No comments?
While we wait, I had a quick question, Brian.
Sure.
Is there if this might have been covered in the course and I need to commit it to memory, but is there a amount of time that it will usually come back down to that level?
The only thing I would say is that bear markets are typically 18 months in duration. That's a typical bear market. It's about a year and a half. Sometimes a bear can take longer. Sometimes it can just, like an elevator, just straight down. But typically, bear markets are 18 months in duration. So, for instance, how long did it take for this to ultimately wash itself out? And this isn't really a good comparison because you can see this thing was just listed here. They might have been higher earlier. In fact, maybe why don't we even see if we can find a better proxy. So sad how, one thing I don't like about crypto is, man, these exchanges come and go and the data disappears and then you're kind of lost. Let's see. I think Phoenix has been.
And I might have phrased the question wrong. I wasn't really talking about the period of time it takes to get down there. Just does it always get down there?
I have yet to ever see, especially in a scenario that looks like this, I have yet to ever see a market actually stop midway and then head higher. It usually has to come down and kiss that.
Yeah.
Bitcoin was a great example of that. When I first got into the space, and I don't know whether this is derailing the conversation here, but it's fun. What the hell?
Well, we're getting some replies about the MetaMask coming in now.
Hey,
so
there you go.
we bought
that's
some
good.
time.
Yeah, nope, negative. Unfortunately, precious metals bear market take decades. Well, the problem with precious metals is they're a commodity proxy, Great Delmoody, and are we in? Actually, this would be interesting because Great Delmoody's been teaching himself along the way as I go here, and I don't know whether actually he's even really got this concept down. What kind of asset preference cycle are we in now? Are we in the cycle that actually is friendly to commodities or unfriendly to commodities? And that's the irony of what you see happening with the commodity prices right now, because you're all going like, oh my God, look at oil. Ah! But ironically enough, actually, the cycle turned in the fall of 2017 and the spring of 2018. That's when that particular cycle changed. So I don't know whether you know the answer to that. All right, so Delmoody says unfriendly until the dollar dies. And so you're assuming that the dollar is going to die. That's actually a pretty big assumption. I don't necessarily agree with that thesis. All right. So anyway, back to our conversation here about Bitcoin. So you can see on the chart here, like this is when I first got involved in Bitcoin, and can you see the P and D here? And so the question ultimately, and I had a lot of people when I first got involved in this space, they asked me, okay, well, Brian, what's a typical bear market and how long is it going to take for us to trade back down here? And how long do I have to sit and do nothing? And like I said, the canned response is, well, bear market's typically 18 months. And notice, like, just keep a mental reference of that. Basically, $150 is the top of that profile there, right? About 150 bucks. So watch what happens. And doink. Isn't that incredible? So I remember specifically when that happened, I was just like awestruck. And then notice, hey, there come the W's. Back up we go. So the question then becomes, and this is, I think, speaking to your question, is if that's the top of the market, how long does it usually take for us to trade back to that P level, eh? Is that kind of your question?
No, I think you actually answered it earlier. I was actually just asking how often does it go down to that level, and you were saying it pretty much always
all the
goes down.
time.
Yeah, okay.
So 59 bars, right? So that was about a year and change. And actually, I've shown you guys this chart. I mean, I suppose I could pull it up. We're having fun. What the hell? Why not? Where do I have? Bitcoin 4-year cycles. I've found I've been in these cycles now three times here. So there was the first cycle that I was involved in. And what's fascinating about this is you sort of map out all the sort of, because we have the halvening event. It's very consistent. And so you start mapping out things like, well, how long did it take to go from peak to bottom? How long did it take to go from peak to actually putting in a new buy signal, a new W? How long did it take to go from actually breaking out on the weekly charts to the halvening event? And then, how long did it take from the bottom, the ultimate low, to actually the halving event, which, in my opinion, starts the next serious bull market. And these numbers are stunningly cliche. I mean, they're actually incredibly consistent. So just, keep that image in mind. And then we zoom to the next cycle. And lo and behold, you see a lot of these images are almost identical. How long did it take to go from peak to ultimate bottom? Well, about a year. 364 bars there. Actually, I thought I remember this was almost exactly 365. But anyway. How long did it take to go from the bottom to the halving event? Well, 525. What did we say this one was? Where's that number? 546. Well, it's pretty similar. So, really, I don't see any reason why this cycle should be any different. And again, this sort of talk about where do prices have to come back down to. Actually, it's interesting. Do you see the P and D there? So you can see in this particular case, mind you, this is kind of messy. But let's see, how can we do this? There is the, there is the breakout there. So that sort of corresponds with that big node there. And in this particular case, actually, I don't think we even got back down there. So, well, I stand corrected on this one. We got down into value, but based off of the entire range, we did not go back down to the P here. So there you go, Ben. There's an example where we did not have to go all the way back down to the bottom. So that's kind of cool. I'd probably also say too, this is what are the sort of the keys that we need to hear to know that the bottom is in price. And one of the big debates that we had through this window was what's the cost of production, and we were getting into that sort of area of cost of production. Then we had the conversation, about 51% of tax. So that's probably a better cue than it actually having to trade right back down to the monster node here. So if anything, actually, this is a good example. Do you see, if we look at the entire price action, and keep in mind, this goes to here. I don't even know if this is the whole price action or not, because Bitcoin started in 2008, right? But can you see what happened here? They dipped it down to the top of value. Can you see that? Right there? I don't know whether you can see that or not, because this will probably change. Yeah, so it does. So can you see how off of the entire profile, there is the top of value right there. And even if we go back there, maybe it'll be a little bit clearer. No, not really. I was kind of hoping that we would see that basically the price bottomed at the top of value. All right, so you stumped me there. I would have thought we would have come all the way back down to the P. Maybe it's just a simple function that Bitcoin was accepted at this point and it didn't have to do a full reset. So, yeah, a good conversation there. What I would say...
Would you say that's like maybe a sign of a maturing market?
Yeah, because like what I was kind of seeing here was, you notice at this point here with this price action, that this actually is the top of value. And sometimes when the market comes back and kisses the top of value, and you see how it put in this W here, that's actually saying, look, I don't want to be lower. I don't want to be in value. And if I can basically say, look, I'm going to accept myself above value, that line there, then that's a rejection of having to go back down all the way to the P. So that might be a good way for you to think about that as well. So I don't know whether that answers your question. That's a good question. I don't know what the statistical requirement is. I'd also say, too, that if we're looking at something like Bitcoin that's a little bit more mature and a little bit accepted, and then comparing it versus something like a shitcoin, right? And asking whether the shitcoin has to go all the way back down to the bottom. I think I might be inclined to be thinking that the shitcoin has a greater odds of having to go back down to the bottom. So here, for example, right, My feeling is we need to go back down into this area here. Now, do we actually have to trade back down to that P node? I don't know. I mean, I hope for all the Bitcoin kids' sake, no. My hunch is they probably are going to put in some sort of major fight right up top here. So that's probably a really good analogy of exactly what you're talking about. Do we have to go all the way down to this big node down here? I don't think so. Would I expect it? I would expect that there should be a pretty big fight at the top of value here. And interestingly enough, I've actually made a lot of sort of conjectures that I like the idea that Bitcoin stabs down below 10 Gs in some sort of great climactic panic. It doesn't stay there very long, but I could see something like, in September, October kind of idea, a big stab down and then a rejection away, or maybe even into the new year. I do like that kind of thinking. That's a darn good question, Ben. Very good question. I don't even know whether I gave you a usable answer there. Did I? Probably just talked in circles there.
This is good to study and look over a few different examples and see.
Yeah.
See what
if anything, we've given you a great, or actually you have volunteered to do a study on the Bitcoin and how often does price actually have to come back all the way back down to value low.
Right. Yeah, and it could be maybe if you set it like a session from peak to peak or something, or I don't know, between the halvening cycles or something, and it.
Well, I definitely like that, and like somebody on YouTube there is saying that, do we really want to just arbitrarily pick what range it is that you're measuring here? I mean, what I would prefer to do is look at all the data going back to like the start of time. And then you get a pretty good idea of the distribution of volume. So you can see that actually this study would start here. I suppose that brave new coin, I think it's like BLX, isn't it? I think it actually has even more data. Yeah, look at this. This goes all the way back to here. So a little bit more data. I mean, what I would say here is I would say in a great climactic panic, there's your bottom. You can see where everybody's long Bitcoins. But I know you guys don't want me to say that. So, like, my knee-jerk reaction would be, this thing needs to come down, hit the reset button, and then I'll start the whole game all over again. Pretty much exactly like we did here. Where exactly this floor is it's going to be that top of that node, or it's going to be where we start hearing people talking about 51% attacks? They're going to be, well, this is where, officially the cost of production makes all the miners underwater and they need to defend this level to keep it above here. I can't really comment on that. What I just simply say is, I'm a huge fan of the confluence idea. So, very first thing I would do is, look, there's 88.6. It's at $7,900. There's 78.6, 15,000. So somewhere down in this area, would it seem logical for the price to find some sort of floor? I think so. Do we have to go all the way down to, in this particular case, looking at this BLX, all the way down to 3 Gs? I think that would actually put this asset substantially below its cost of production. Maybe that might be one of the tells as to why this didn't have to go down to those lows. Because a lot of the coins that we look at are POS coins. And they don't really technically have any value. So it might be a function that because this has the halvening and the cost to produce these things constantly is rising, that's sort of almost like a built-in mechanism to make sure that we don't have to come all the way back down to the bottom here. I could understand that logic. So, fascinating conversation. I guess the way I would look at it too is, is the world going to start shitting on everything that's not environmentally friendly? And of course, POW is not very environmentally friendly. And in a weird sort of way, I don't even think politicians even really think. I think actually politicians are some of the stupidest people that are alive, but they're damn good at getting reelected, and that's the only thing they really care about is getting reelected. So if all of a sudden we have this big, great fucking Greta circle jerk kind of, we got to save the world and, reduce your carbon footprint, does that, there's two sides of the energy equation. There is the inputs that are things like oil, natural gas, solar power. But then there's also the outputs, right, which is electricity consumption. Since the world can't seem to put a lid on people like Vladdy and can't seem to put a lid on this need for us to revert to very dirty commodities to create this energy, are they going to now start to attack the other side of the equation, electricity consumption, i.e., maybe we go to war over POW coins, and maybe all these silly politicians to try and make the Gretas happy of the world, maybe they outlaw POW coins. I mean, that might be interesting. Yeah, a great Greta circle jerk. That would definitely get people's attention. Okay, gee whiz. We sure got off onto a tangent there. How the hell am I going to do this? Oh, damn it. I'm not very good at this. I guess Great Del Moody's having fun chatting with me over there on YouTube. Are you YouTubers enjoying this offering? Is this of any value to you, having these conversations with you guys about this stuff? Because I seem to be floundering. I can't really do what I want to do with these shows where I go through a whole bunch of names, because I end up blabbing away forever here. I don't know. Hope you guys over on YouTube are getting some value out of this. Okay, so looking at this, and keep in mind too, psychologically, I got kind of kicked in the nuts here tonight looking at where the great state of British Columbia is planning on moving my son. So I'm in a bit of a mental stressed out state right at the moment. So feeling a little debilitated over that. Anyway, back to ADA here. Trade location, I mean, you can make the argument we're coming back down into value. You're not chasing anymore, so that's a good sign. Half of my job is, I say it like every single video I do. When people on social media are like, use my referral code, you gotta buy, this time it's different, just ignore the charts, ignore technical analysis, just buy, you'll make money. I gotta have my gold-plated steak, so keep feeding my referral links, blah, blah, blah. That part of this business, I hate. It's, okay, so Matador says he's getting some value. Great Del Moody says, value, yes, your teaching is helpful, but can't teach and plow through many coins at the same time. Yeah, you're right, eh? Oh, well, I'll just try my best. Do we have to come down and tag this node down here? I would think so, but, if anything, Ben kind of reminded me that it doesn't have to happen. But the problem here with these POS coins is, what is the actual value of one of these POSs? This almost is like cliche, right? What is the value of a piece of shit? I don't know. I'm sure, the irony of it all is that, people used human feces, I guess, to in the tanning industry. So there actually is some value to POSs. So I'm not quite sure how it's going to work here with these POS coins. If anything, I might even argue, because they are POS, probably the propensity that we have to come back and trade two, where basically everybody is long, that's probably pretty high. So is there a guarantee that it's going to hit that? No. what I would just simply say guarantee. What's a guarantee? Guarantee is this is venture capital. Guarantee is lots of volatility. Guarantee is this crypto market seems to move very well on these halvening cycles. So I really wouldn't expect anything bullish out of crypto until we get on the other side of that next Bitcoin halvening event. And I think by that time, all of the bearish sentiment will be all washed out of the market. Probably at that time, when you actually start going and asking people about crypto, they're going to have completely forgotten about it. Not even the slightest bit interested. So those are some of the guarantees that I would give you. Is this technically even remotely close to a buy? No. If we change this to a line chart, you can really see it very well. There's no W's here. And you see how long it takes for these W's to develop. It's probably going to do exactly the same thing that it did here. So, as I started off the conversation with all of you by saying that when I went to Switzerland, there was a gentleman. And actually it turns out that he didn't sell any of his ADA through here. And in fact, he just kept mining away. Oh, thanks, Jason. Do I sound? Yeah. Mentally, I took a real punch in the nuts there about an hour or two ago, which sucks. Anyway, and actually, he did very, very well on this cycle pump. And unfortunately, right, the public, they come in and buy all his coins up top. Could you put yourself? Can you go get, like, what are they? They're, I don't even know. Are they still called master nodes? Do they still do that? Ben, do you know?
Yeah, I haven't heard that word in a long time, but still.
That's like 5 years ago language, Brian. Get with the times, man. So anyway, that's what this was here, is you operated a master node, right? And you validated the network, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I mean, I suppose we are getting, as a broker, and of course, as a broker, I would be very leery about my little old ladies getting too heavily involved in cryptocurrencies. But as a broker, as long as we're at or below reload zones, I would say it's fine. Put yourself on that dollar cost averaging plan. And if you want to do things like run master nodes and validate their network and just keep getting paid more and more and more coins, my hunch is once we get past the next halvening event window and we're ready to do the whole damn thing again, we'll do it all over again. And my hunch is they're probably going to take out these highs in the next cycle. Wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, I might even argue that because this top is so steep, there to there, that's your downtrend. I mean, that's pretty darn steep. We've already broken that. So what I need to see now is, can I please have a nice W here? Just take this, you see how long this took. I mean, hell, if we go back in time, it's the same logic. It's not really a heck of a lot different. V-top, so at some point you should expect this stuff to be tested. And of course, you saw what the chart did. It more tested it and blew to new highs. But can I please have a W on the other side of this trend line? You can see it took all the way to over here. And then these jerks actually went and broke that low over here. So, this is kind of the scenario that I think we're in right now. Now, are we sort of like right here right now? I kind of think so. So there's sort of your future going forward. So same thing as before, and if we look at the dailies, you probably see that this looks a little bit crisper down here. Unfortunately, with this guy, you can see that we even just made a new low. Hey, what's this low here? That low is 41.9, and that low there is 41.3. Oh, wow. Is that ever close? So, didn't make a new low. I'm sure anybody who did buy this W and had their stop below there was like, oh, no, 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 no. Oh, phew. Phew. What I would just simply say is really easy is if we break this low here, then you know we got trouble. We got trouble. Wait, don't run. This kind of trouble is lots of fun. Now, if we can turn our butts back up. Actually, also, too, this is a really good example of what I like to teach as the formation stop and the noob stop. So most new traders, and actually, when I first started trading back in the 1980s, the guy that I learned to trade from, he actually would have his stop just below here. And I watched him over the past, like 2 or 3 years as he was sort of doing his newsletters and teaching and stuff. Mysteriously, over time, he changed from having his stop there to having his stop here. And I've seen this time and time again in trading where this is actually considered a liquidity pool, right? And so you can see they went after those people's liquidity right here, but they never did take out that low, right? And you can like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, whoo, wow, dodged a bullet. The only problem with this, of course, is I would make the argument that there's the bottom end of the range, and now this M top here is clearly defined the top end of the range. So that's your trading range right now. Kind of, you heard Paul earlier talking about trading range, right? Great Dalmidi says, what's this? ADA is based on staking and coin locking. Master nodes emerged from Dash and required running said master nodes on server workstation continually. So staking requires less commitment. The original point of a master node on Dash was to mix coins as an attempt at privacy for optionally private transactions. Then lots of grifting projects forked Dash into other projects, but often without any really fundamental purpose for the master nodes, which is why most master node chains sucked. But short term, they pumped in 17. Yeah. Well, also too, the kind of the way that I'm looking at the market is I do believe that, there used to be a guy that used to be on the site, and I used to hang out with here locally, and we used to always joke about the Canadian real estate market and the Vancouver real estate market and how just utterly stupid this place is. And I saw the other day somebody's posting that more than 50% of all Canadian mortgages are adjustable rate mortgages. And I don't know whether you guys have seen what interest rates have done recently. But that technically means that 50% of the Canadian real estate market could very easily be underwater on their mortgages right now. And the people, when they have to refinance them, may not even be able to make the monthly payments. 50% of the Canadian real estate market. And I don't even want to touch China. China's 100 times worse than that. And the whole bubble in Canada was based on China. So anyway, the point of the matter here is after 2008, the U.S. Federal Reserve, trying to save the U.S. market, went and flooded the world with this cash. And we used to joke, what does a world swimming in, whatever trillions of dollars of liquidity look like? Well, it looks like the Canadian real estate market. It looks like China. I mean, it turns out China is basically a fraud. The whole fucking country is just one big ass fraud. And oh, by the way, there isn't any money in any of the banks. They're all empty. Anyway, so to your comment about how could crypto pump the way that it did there through 2017, 2018, and then of course the crypto pumps that you just saw here. The way the stock market could go zooming higher there. What does a world swimming in all this crazy ass free money look like? And of course, now those days are over. And you're seeing the unwinding of all that free money. Now, I don't know. What does that ultimately mean for these kind of cryptocurrencies that really don't do anything in the world? And as you pointed out there, like they pumped a whole bunch of these, master node kind of dash sort of derivative kind of things. And then, of course, the whole anonymous crypto. Did you crypto kids actually think that Big Brother was going to allow you to get away with not paying taxes? Are you people on drugs? I mean, seriously? You know how the banksters have us all as financial slaves. Why would that change? So, I mean, that's the irony of all this sort of privacy stuff in crypto. Is, okay, sure. You want to con yourself into thinking that? Okay, fine, go ahead. Anyway, so back to our story here. I mean, I will say, and this is exactly like what we just said with that last coin, location. Actually, I don't mind. It's not bad. We can put a big... in fact, this one is below RLZ. So it can get a check for location. I think it's okay. Indicator confirmation. Off of the daily charts, interesting to see. You had a bit of a bullish divergence there in MACD histogram. This is sort of like price action wise. MACD is a study of moving averages. Not necessarily a div, but an interesting contraction in Bollinger Bands on RSI. Good old Fjord would say that is a building of energy, a compression. And you can see how we compressed here and then broke out. That led to that rally there. So we got a bit of a compression here. Have we broken out? It looks like we have. It's just, I guess probably the problem here is that probably the best way to think about this is you can see that this node right here, basically representing this high and probably also this low here. If this thing's really a bull, we got to like literally jump over this hurdle. And then, you can see the profile. We need some buyers to step in and actually do some buying here and fill all of this in. What would be probably the best scenario would be that this is an inverted head and shoulders. I mean, you've heard Brian say repeatedly over the years that often what I see happen, looking back in hindsight, is the market actually ends up bottoming right off that damn 78.6. Could this be sort of like a big honking inverted head and shoulders? That's a shoulder, neckline, head, back to the neckline, shoulder, away we go. Sure, that could happen. It's not out of the question. But I think for the time being, right, and I guess this is kind of like the rest of the crypto market. We tried to put in a bottom there through the May-June window. This guy here, because DeFi is kind of on the outs, that would to me says, what the inertia in that whole space, if anything, it's just going to have to take some time to clean itself up. That's probably why you don't have a lot of buying pressure here. But you can see OBV's trying to turn. This is kind of a name that the amount of risk that you have to take to actually buy this here, and you'll know pretty quickly that the idea is not very good. If we basically close below this line, we're toast. So, I mean, maybe you want to wait for like a nice little candle. Notice here, this boom, 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 nice 3-bar fractal reversal. So if you were just patient and disciplined and just waited for some sort of bottom, I mean, there was this cute little 3-bar reversal there, but you're underwater. Then there's this 3-bar reversal here. Well, you're above water. I guess what I'm just saying here is if you do take a shot down here on any kind of candle reversal, I think you got a risk to a break of that low there. Candle body lows for trade location. That's that level there, that level there, that level there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know that the pros are coming in and taking shots off of these levels. Probably a lot of the pro traders on Binance and stuff would come in on the buy side down here. maybe wait for some sort of candle reversal down in there. But, right now we're potentially getting a 3-bar failure pattern, which isn't good. So, I'm going to say, like I said before, indicator confirmation, okay. I beg your pardon. Trade location, okay. Indicator confirmation, meh. Kind of like the other one. It's sort of like meh. And if anything, to mark a bottom in here, what we probably need to see is these things start divvying out on the weekly charts. Then we can start hunting price structure. So I'm going to go meh on the indicator confirmation. And then price structure, no, we just don't have any price structure. It's not yet. All right, well, anyway, there's my 2 cents on ADA for whatever it's worth. Current bid's about 0.0001 on the pink sheets. If we can get that, some sort of W to come in here, though, I would actually be interested. In fact, actually, probably you can even see if we can get a W on the other side of this trend line. There. Notice how we tried to rally up to there but failed. If we could somehow get a break back above here and then market structure, all right, then you got yourself a trade. So, think about that. All right, it's already 8 o'clock, so gee whiz, Brian, way to go. Totally wasted everybody's evening. Tried my best. Maybe one of these days I'll get good at this. All right, let's put... the interesting thing is if this damn thing can bottom here, it's probably going to jump right back up to there. So that head and shoulders kind of thinking that I said there earlier, I still like that. It's just you got to get some sort of W in here. Rally, damn you, rally! So, but nothing just as of yet. Okay, we'll do one more, then we'll have a great prediction from the boys as to what we do next week, and then maybe we'll call it a night. I know a lot of people sure love this SOL, and in fact, actually, I seem to remember that Sam, I think that's his name. I'm not on a first name basis with him, so I don't know whether I have to call him Mr. W. Is that his name? Sam. What's his other name? Cheer up, Brian. All right. All right. Well, that's good. Appreciate one guy seems to enjoy my rant, so that's good. Great Dal Moody. Great Dal Moody, if you can figure out how the fuck I can give my son a half-decent life, I'm all ears. It's been the bane of my existence, I'll tell you that much. 21 years. And it doesn't get any easier, I'll tell you that, by crackers. Okay, so, what do we got here? Hey, Paul's back. Yeah, Paul's saying, maybe this Beamish guy will stop talking at some point. There we go. Bakeman Friedman, that's his name. So, Mr. B, we'll call him Mr. B. I actually, I think I saw like tweets out of Mr. B recently saying that he figured that the Bitcoin slide, or maybe, crypto winter or whatever, is almost over. I don't mean to be rude, Mr. B, but I don't see your ship turning around here just yet. The one good part about this, can you guys see? And of course, somebody made reference to this a moment ago, but interesting, Ben, do you see how we're back to the POC here?
I do.
Actually, Tinder profile. I might seriously give that some thought, dude. For whatever it's worth, I tried to, just for whatever it's worth, because he is the center of my universe. But I tried to, a very long time ago, try and set up a, oh God, I don't even know how to do this. I'm so terrible at this social media stuff. How the hell do I do this? God, I don't even know what I've done here now. I tried to set up a page for Liam on here. but I don't know how to do this. Where's the home? How do you do the home thing? Is this it? There he is. There's my boy. And man, I've had that on there forever, and I was kind of hoping that I do enough sort of positive karma work in the world, and that you guys would think that my work is valuable and stuff, and help Liam's donation. I even had a page set up to fund him buying a house and the whole thing. And then the government's go and absolutely destroy the purchasing power of currency, and house prices like double here in Canada, so that's not even realistic for him now. But that's my boy, and if you do feel like sort of, and I gotta figure out something for him, because they're gonna fucking move him into like a goddamn, it's like worse than a halfway house. So it's really disappointing what they're planning on doing. But I guess that makes sense, because these governments are a joke, so. One advice: don't rely on government for assistance. They always fail. Always, always, always. They failed my wife terribly. But anyway, moving on. So if you do feel like trying to help Liam out, I do have these donation addresses, and this is probably what I really need to do to ramp this up. The only thing is I didn't want to spend any of this until either A, I could afford to buy him a house, and right now I think the account's worth maybe about 50 G's or something. So it's not enough to buy him a house. I don't know what to do. But maybe what I'll do is I'll maybe create like a GoFundMe page. Maybe we can get him like some sort of... Because I think if you have 32 Ethereum, theoretically you should be able to have enough for an income. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go and try and wrestle together 32 Ethereum, and then just have it in his name, and then that pays for his housing, something like that. I got to figure some sort of solution for him. Anyway, that's another conversation for another day. All right, back to our final SOL here. Just as the same with everybody else, I suppose you could argue this is cheap. Yeah, well, it's interesting that I ask everybody to give positive karmic wishes for Liam and I on the Sunday shows, and then on the Thursday and stuff. So, and I think honestly you guys do. Because I do see that since I did start asking about that, he does on balance have much better visits with me of late. It's just this is a bigger problem that really it's not your problem. It's unfortunately, and I shouldn't be even talking about this with you guys. So let's get back on topic here. Okay, so Mr. B. I suppose one could argue the same thing as we've said repeatedly. If I was a broker and I did have clients that said that they wanted to start accumulating Mr. B, was this an area where they were walking into a trap? I would unequivocally say no. I would say that you're buying cheap. The cool part about this story is you're actually buying value. So we're back into sort of the neighborhood where, ironically enough, and I've tried to teach all of you guys this over the years. I hope you guys are getting this. But, this bar here and that bar there, this bar here, down to there, this bar here, down to here. This is what I would call the institution's fingerprints. Basically, this is where, I'll just leave it like that. This is where somebody stepped in and said, no more down, you go up. So if you think about, that whole concept of look left, as we're like breaking through, say, like this kilo, then the next level you should be thinking about on your price chart. So when we, and that was sort of like right in here. Next level on your price charts you should be thinking about is really like that level there. And, it took a while, but boom, you can see, smashed into that. So again, look left. Where's the next level? Well, that's now down here. And look at that. I mean, gee whiz. So somebody clearly put a bottom in the market through here. Now, this is an interesting anecdote, right? Because you remember there was a certain Do Kwon that his coin did exactly the same, then went absolutely nuts. But then the whole damn thing just fell apart, and this is where the whole venture capital conversation comes in. And in that particular case, there just was no bottom, and the whole thing just blew up. Now, the one good thing I like about Sam is I believe that actually very much like a lot of you people, and especially the people that we seem to attract to TRI, which, makes my heart sing. I think Sam's actually a pretty nice person. I think he's got a good soul. I think he's got a good heart. I can't say the same for that Mr. Kwon guy. And frankly speaking, I think the reason why he was destroyed was because of his ego. And because of his just outright arrogance. Whereas I don't get that impression from Sam. I really don't. And so one of the main reasons why I think Sam's going to survive is just simply his attitude. So I think in that regards, these institutional fingerprints I think are of merit and worth paying attention to. So it's interesting how we did come down into those levels. 88.6. Anytime we correct like 90% of the price action, this is on sale. I mean, it's just simple as that. It's cheap. So like I said, same thing as we said off of both of these names here. I would make the argument that this is trade location. I have no problem with you whatsoever if you wanted to go and add some of your SOL to your portfolio. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. What I would suggest you do, and this is a function of just trying to, if anything, because of our conversations about timing the market and how really probably we got another year of this crap ahead of us, I don't think it's a good idea to go and bet the farm on any kind of idea down here. This is still not like Nick's easy mode. This is not, this market state here is not the same market state as we were coming out the other side of the halvening. Remember, once the halvening happens, then we sort of hit the reset button for the brand new cycle, and all the pumps and all the shills, they all can work really, really well. But on this side of the halvening, I think you got to just play it really cool. The one interesting thing about this, again, is this actually a textbook cryptocurrency? Is it like a decentralized, permissionless, peer-to-peer, network validated, distributed ledger system? I hate to say it, but I don't think it is. If I understand correctly, I think SOL is actually fairly centralized control. In a weird sort of way, having that centralized control might be one of the reasons why this thing actually survives. Because like Mr. Kwon found out, if you entirely algorithmize your platform, somebody's going to try and figure out what the holes are, and they're going to try and break your algorithm. And sure enough, Mr. Kwon, they broke him. So if I understand correctly, I think even actually a couple times through here, Sam's come along and just said, we're shutting the network down. Now that technically is not supposed to be in the spirit of what these things originally were. So, in a weird sort of way, the cryptocurrency story that I got involved in 2013, 2014, that story's long over. And, now if I understand correctly, Ethereum, the big talk is it moving from POW to POS, and that's the merge, and okay, now we're going to... Well, if anything, that's just going to make Ethereum even less valuable, right? There won't be a cost of production. There won't be a level that, well, the miners have to have this price to validate the network, so odds are price will stay above that so that they can stay in the business of validating the network. That will disappear. And then something like this that's actually centrally controlled, I mean, there's no permissionless peer-to-peer network here. This is you have to have permission. And ironically enough, if Sam doesn't like what you're doing, he just shuts the network down. Well, that's easy enough. Done. So are we moving far away from actually the original intent of cryptocurrencies and this distributed blockchain technology? And more importantly, the peer-to-peer validation of the permissionless network ledger? And ironically enough, of course, that serves the banker's purpose. When I first got into the space, I remember there was this one smart-ass motherfucker who was just cockier than a son of a bitch. And my hunch is he's probably a billionaire now. He always said that, Ripple is actually the absolute best cryptocurrency for things like remittance and for things that like what the banks actually want out of this technology. But that is a million miles away. Ripple compared to Bitcoin is like literally a Volkswagen versus a Ferrari. I mean, they're just apples and oranges. Total difference. So, what is it you're actually buying here? If I understand correctly, now it's sort of like there are several tiers to these networks that are like supercomputers, and if anything, this is probably a really good analogy that the cryptocurrency space is going to morph from that store of value, which is what it was originally intended for, to sort of offset the bankers' crime that they've pulled on all of us here. And of course, Bitcoin going from nothing to like 50, 60 G's. That is your evidence that this thing worked and it offset the crime. But that story's over now, right? They've already done the quantitative easing. They've already done the dilution. You see the inflation now that's in our society. That is not going anywhere. That is a past event, not a future event. So is there a need for stable or proof of what the hell's the word I'm looking for? Store of value cryptocurrencies anymore? If technically they're not going to do any more quantitative easing, and in fact they're actually going to be raising rates and they're actually talking about reducing their balance sheet, then that means that they're actually going to try and unwind some of that need for a proof or store of value name. So what is it you're actually buying here? That's, if anything, this is going to be an interesting question over the next couple of years. Like when I talked to Sjord, of course, he fell in love with the Luna story and he got very intimately involved in all that. I didn't really hear anything about sort of store of value. Well, we got to worry about the value of currency collapsing, so we got to find an asset that's going to go up relative to the dilution. I didn't hear any of that kind of talk with Luna. So, all right, isn't that interesting? So Great Dalmoody's correcting me there, saying technically Bitcoin never was a store of value story. Okay, interesting. Okay, so what I would say here, just to sort of finish off our conversation tonight, again, a lot of names that look like this. Paul even made reference to this earlier tonight. We see a lot of these altcoins that are trying to put these bottoms in here. If we look kind of like what he had said, if you look at Bitcoin or look at any of these names off of something like a weekly basis, if I often tell people 3-step setup, look for location, indicator confirmation, then price structure, then go. I like the idea that this thing has location. Awesome. Do we have indicator confirmation? Trying. That's the way that I would definitely say here. We're definitely trying. Do we have price structure? Well, you all know, you've been watching me for so long that what I really want to see is I want to see them break this trend line and then put in a W. Now, the problem with a name like this is maybe they go and do that, but then that runs into this trend line. Then I've got to see another W come in over here. So this has got a lot of work to get through before I can actually believe that, yes, this is a new bull market. Dead cat bounce, it's cheaper than stink. It's up against institutional fingerprints. If you believe in Sam and you believe in his network, then this is probably a place where you want to step up and start nibbling away. Is this a new bull market? Are you going to go and buy a Lambo next week from the winnings from this? I don't think so. Could you see, like what I would simply say is, short-term expectations, we probably want to see things like 38.2s, Collins dump chaser zone, which I love making reference to. There it is there. So you can see how even now I sort of said, okay, I want to see a dead cat bounce rally. There is 38.2. Interesting how that would also be a kiss of the underside of that level in there. But even that rally itself does not produce a new bull market. There is a lot of work that needs to be done here. So maybe off of the daily basis, there might be a cute little flip to try and take advantage of that rally. If you are in these W's, like I said, we got 38.2s, 50% previous market structure. Starting to think confluence there. And then sort of the final cherry on the cake is, do we have chaos theory and Foggenbaum targets that sort of align with these levels? My hunch is probably yes. So I'll do this one. Boobity-boo. And boom. Oh, hello. What a surprise. And we're going to do this one here. That's it. Isn't that interesting? So that W there and this W here actually produce the same price targets. Isn't that interesting? So also too, notice the downtrend line. I had assumed that we were going to blast through this. That's probably a bad assumption. I might even make the argument that we're probably going to rally up to this trend line. And then we're going to probably run into a bit of traffic in here. Now, again, if we W out on the other side of this trend line, and that would make sense, right? Foggenbaum, we pull back, test the original breakout level, then hopefully hold that trend line, then put in a W on the other side. Well, it's saying that we're going to go up into this level and do the same thing with this trend line and that Foggenbaum. And, of course, this is ultimately our sort of is this actually still a bear market? If it is still a bear market, then we M out here and we actually head down and the downtrend continues. You might find, kind of like what our scenario was here, that actually we rally up to here, pull back, maybe test that 2.618. I don't know, something like that. If we can W on the other side of this trend line, then we got ourselves a new bull market. And if we do accept above like this, well, then the next stop is up in these 877s. And what a surprise. What do you think the odds are if I do a reload zone off of this entire range? That 877 is probably Paul's Mountain Man level. Maybe 78.6. Survey says, boom. Ah, look at that. So Paul, in fact, you can even see Paul's trade here. So I don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, maybe, if we're lucky, Paul gets his trade, bang, right off of that level, and then we have to work our way back down. That could happen. Very realistic. But I definitely think you could see Paul just sitting there, licking his chops. So, anyway. What do you think, guys? Is that of any value? What do you think, Ben? I haven't heard from you in a while. Are you still here?
Yeah, still here. I'll have to grab a link and we'll go through the the chart, I mean the Excel spreadsheet for location, indicator confirmation, and
Yeah. So
fill that out.
I guess what I'll say here is, whoops, I won't say that. Where are we here? There we go. This is your daily chart. Those indicators just look blah. You know, like we had a nice little bull div over here, and actually that wasn't even a bull div, eh? That's kind of sloppy. Oh, I guess the bull div was there. So you had a nice compression there. It looks like there was a really cool trade right there. So if anything, what I would say is, actually, no, that's not bad. And actually, the interesting thing is price is actually right at that double bottom level. So this one I'm going to say, I think there's actually a trade here at 39.72. Right there. Remember this, I mean, the interesting thing is this thing's cheap. So I do like the fact that it's so cheap. You know, look at below reload zones. Nice double bottom there. I really don't mind buying at 39.72 and risking to a low there of 30.92. So basically you're risking $9. Something like that. That actually is not terrible. You know, this I think is like the last name that we looked at, right? And you can even see there was a nice little fractal reversal here. Beautiful inside bar reversal right there. Beautiful. So if you kind of want, you know, we just had a 3-bar fractal failure there. So kind of like what we were doing there just a moment ago. If you wanted to just simply, you know, maybe drill down to like a 4-hour. And if you're serious, so you're like, Brian, I really would like to trade this. I'd probably, yeah, remember we saw this on the other name. I think I would really concentrate down on this area here, hoping that these lows do indeed hold. Maybe if you're lucky, you know, kind of like a Paul trade, maybe if you're really lucky, you can, you could get like a nice tag of 34.19 there and risk to a break of that 39.92, 78.6. I think actually that's a trade Paul likes to do. Hey, Paul, do you like that? Are you still here? I don't know whether he's still here or not.
No, I'm long gone. Yeah,
Long gone.
I like that.
All right, yeah. So, you know, if anything, one of the things I like to do with you guys is I like to try and get into your head and try and see how you look at the market and try and see if I can get to the point, like you often hear me say, oh yeah, Sjord would really like this compression and Bollinger Bands and, you know, the breakout of, you know, MACD above zero kind of thing. That's I like to try and see the trade from your guys' perspective. Still haven't figured out what Ben's setup is here yet, though. If anything, probably, and just indulge me a little bit here, Ben. Let's see if I can do this. I think probably the very first thing Ben would do is say, okay, what is our rule of 72? So, I thought I saved is 72. Oh, I don't see it here. That's too bad. But if we go, we'll just do new numbers. 72. And I think it's like 72.6843796. And then 88.6? Is that what it is? I think that's it. Oh, yeah. Or is it 88.6?
I think it's 86.
Or 86. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So roughly. And, you know, take Ben's course. I'm sure he'll be more than happy. Oh, and then we got to set this to 0, right? So, coordinates. Yeah. 0. All right. And I don't even know if that's the right number. Is that the right number up there? I think it is. All right.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, there's a rule of 72. At this point, if we could have a rally back up, 38.2 produces that free trade for him, right? So, what is that? That's 71, 141, or 144. So, Then, and interesting enough, notice now we're at that 86. So if I understand correctly, a buy off of the 86 at 36, a move back to the 72 produces that double as well. So this is, I like this trade setup. I wonder if, Ben, I think you could make some serious money with this trade setup. Do you actually wait for that 88.6?
I'm trying to figure out like what is the tell, like if it fails at the 72 level, what does that look like? I guess the next level that someone would step in would be at that 86%, because they could get a risk-free trade because that 72% becomes resistance, right?
Right. So and I like that because notice foggies are lining up with that number. 38.2, 50% lining up with that number. Kiss of the previous market structure fail level, which is probably key resistance, also lines up with that number. I don't think that's an accident, what's going on here. So that's kind of cool. I'm trying to incorporate your thinking into my thinking here. So interesting how that 88.6 is basically, what does that number say? 36.39 roughly. So fascinating how our little breakout there is 39.72. So I don't know. You want to join Ben on his trade? It's not a bad looking trade, I'll tell you. Is this investment grade? Are we in a new bull market? Not even close. Not even close. Could we enjoy a nice little seasonal dead cat bounce back into resistance that could actually produce moves that might actually give you the ability to sell half on a double, get yourself some free coins? Yeah, actually, I don't think that's unrealistic. So that's kind of cool that we finished on that note there. Is there anything you wanted to add to this, Ben? I kind of like sort of jumped here.
No, that's great.
Cool. Okay, so why don't we say we'll take this as our image, and I think what we're gonna say is, actually, believe it or not, yeah, and call me crazy, but actually, Sam, I think I could actually justify owning your coin here. So call me crazy. I'm gonna say trade location okay. I'm going to say indicator confirmation is, it's doable. I'm not going to say it's pretty. And of course, on the weekly charts, right, to actually see the turn, we're not there yet. We're trying to turn, but we're not there yet. And unfortunately now, like we were nice and ridiculously oversold. We even had an RSI div there. So this thing, if there was a reason for something in this market to rally, I think this thing is going to rally. So what is the fundamental driver that's actually going to cause this thing to rally? But I'm actually going to say, of the names that we looked at, I think this actually is the most attractive tonight. And that's interesting because, frankly speaking, I think Sam's one of the most attractive guys in crypto right now. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to say, well, kind of like the other one. Actually, yeah, passing grade. Why don't we give it that? I'm not going to say you're like staring at a bare div right in your face. Then I'm going to say tight bottom working. Say something like that. So of the three, if there was one that I would say I liked the most, it would be this SOL here. So okay, look at that, 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I didn't have a clue what the hell I was going to say here tonight. So I hope you guys feel like you got some value out of that. Maybe we should just jump into closing thoughts and let people get on with their days. So, why don't we start off with some predictions? What do you think is going to happen here? Paul, are you still awake? Did we lose you? You've been, you nailed it here, so you get to go first.
Every damn time I'm first. Yeah, I'll stick to I don't know. I'm oscillating on the 1 and 0, but I'll say 0.
0. All right. So you think
Yeah.
we got to cool our jets here a little bit?
Yeah.
All right. I think that makes sense. Ben, what do you think? What's the call, sir?
I'm gonna go -1 this week.
Oh, you think we're
Really
getting a bit
like
of a pullback? Huh?
that sign idea.
Ah, you like that sine wave, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Awesome. Glad I could make a positive difference in your life tonight. All right. And what the hell's the Beamish going to say here? I kind of have to agree. And actually interesting, right? Next week is the Fed meeting. So what we're probably going to find is the market's going to rally. Then the Fed's going to meet. And then probably like Thursday, the fucking market's going to puke out. But let's go with a 0, where I think probably we'll be roughly around these levels right around next week's Fed meeting. I wouldn't be surprised if we move a little bit higher here before that, though. So I'm going to say 0. Looking for a bit more up before Fed. And by all means, if you guys want to add a note to what you're thinking. I guess we don't need looking for. We can just say a bit more up before Fed, but we'll see how we do. And then -1 from you, Ben. Actually, we gotta get these colors correct, right? So that's gray, and there you are, down into Fed. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Because I wanted to go up on the other side.
I do like your thinking, you know. I actually do like your thinking. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see next week when we meet. And interesting how Paul and I are actually agreeing here. So okay, closing thoughts. I don't know why. I think actually we've gone with Paul first before. So Ben, what are some closing thoughts for these good people here tonight?
The app's been updated and it should be functional now.
Oh, you
So if you
rock
want to take
star.
it for a spin, like if you were to click on like Bitcoin there, you'll be able to see
Oh, sweet.
the latest chart and
Oh,
then
nice.
previous charts as well.
Oh, rock star.
Yeah. And
Oh, look at
then
this. Oh, super cool. Oh,
yeah.
you
And then
awesome.
if you go to Are We There Yet? Just kind of building it right at the very, very bottom. That tab there. That's just like a couple of long-term
Oh, right
cyclical
on.
things. So if people are interested in checking those out,
Oh, yeah, because these are cool charts. The only problem is look how
yeah.
zoomed in you
Oh,
are here. Holy
yeah,
crap.
I've got to fix that up. That's
That's
definitely
okay.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is such a great roadmap. Right, you want to make your life easy trading crypto, it's really just follow this roadmap. It's so freaking cool. Oh, you are the best, man.
And then the last tab I updated with some just some useful links. So the very bottom right hand.
This helpful link.
Yep, helpful link. So you
Oh,
can
look at
go to the
that.
crypto show channel,
Oh,
Paul's
you are
Twitter
the
feed,
best.
go to the Rational Investor blog. It's all there. And
Excellent.
it's not like it's not an app that you have to download. It will, if you take a photo of that, it'll just make a shortcut on your screen, and then it goes to the website. So it's not like you have to have a username or sign up or anything. So it's super easy to use, and you can actually just use the app on a web browser as well, like Brian's using. So all the information from the shows will keep it in there and keep it updated.
Cool. That is super duper neat. All right. Wow, you totally made my night there, dude. Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, and then don't forget to send some PMA to Brian and Liam tomorrow when they meet up and hang out.
Yeah, we'll do another grand tour of the Lower Mainland tomorrow. There is my boy. Love him with all my heart. Anyway, we'll get through this. Thank you all for your positive sentiments. It really does make a big difference in my life, so thank you. Oh, look at that. At ETH now we're below 1500 now, eh? Slippy. Okay. Brilliant. Closing thoughts there, Ben. Oh my God. That's going to be tough to overdo here, Paul. So let's see what the hell you got on store. Closing thoughts, Paul?
Yeah, you know me. Same thing every time. Now it's a bit easy to trade, what I saw in the last week. Not on the same hard mode. It's a bit easy, not on easy mode, but it's a bit easy. The levels are a bit clear for the beginners.
All right, so it's still hard mode, but it's a bit
It's
easier.
a bit easy, yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Not trending, yeah. I saw the market was up, broken the range now. It's back in the same range, but seems like it start to a bit of trending, at least on the 4-hour chart.
Okay.
I didn't sit out. I just made a nice scalp earlier.
Yeah, so actually you're even making money while we're doing these shows, right?
Yeah, I saw a trend line break, LJ on short side on Bitcoin. I just
There you
go to
go.
2 to 1.
So you can
Make a
even
couple
make
of
money
bucks.
listening to the old man blabbering away. What a life, eh? That's not so
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for YouTube participation. PMA for the win. Thank you so much for all your kind thoughts, everybody. As I told somebody on social media today, it's basically my life since my wife's passing. My life sort of the whole purpose of my life is to try and help. It sounds weird. I think in a weird sort of way because I have sort of not put any monetary sort of aspirations on this. The good Lord has given me a whole bunch of things, like people like Julian who've come in and basically run the TRI business, make sure things like counting is done and everything's filed and done appropriately and people are paid and stuff. So thank you, Julian. I appreciate that. Sjord has come on. Sjord has worked very, very diligently to actually build tools that I think now this is almost like the end result of like 35 years of my career putting all of this information together. It's still obviously a work in progress, but I'll tell you, we actually have sort of a saying on the site going around right now. It works. That's all that matters. It works. It's really, really good, and it works, and it's great to see sort of Brian's dream being manifest. So I think in a weird sort of way. And the good part about it is this stuff works. So this is like a win-win relationship. I don't like the idea of people just sort of, begging for money. Please can I have money? Please can I have money to do something? I mean, that just doesn't, I don't think that resonates with me. You see what I do with these shows. I want people to get value out of this. And if you want to make a contribution or something like that, it's up to you. You want to help Liam out, it's up to you. All those kind of things. You want to help us get the booth set up on TradingView or on Decentraland. It's up to you if you want it, if you think you get value. Actually, we've had a bunch of people come on the TRI site and say, you could make millions of dollars just marketing this correctly. It's just you guys are marketing this horribly. You've got like 100 different products and they're all going 20 different directions. And you just need to focus. But the point being that here is yet another incredible value-added product service that we've brought to market. And if anything, what I'm really hoping is that we just demonstrate the incredible value of these products and, build a better mousetrap. The world beats a path to your door. And I can go and buy Liam a half decent house. Well, that's sort of the desired end result here. So, thank you, Sjord, for continually just banging away at this project. Thank you to all of our instructors. We try and keep the school cost as low as possible. And I think that we do a pretty good job at remunerating our instructors. I think they feel as though it's a good proposition for them. So thank you, Grim. Thank you, Kiran. Zach is coming along as such an incredible options trader. It's beautiful to watch him in action now. And his TA is also another awesome options trader for our level 3 program. So thank you to Ray and Zach, and Marat as a TA for the level 2 program. Joshua, Sharktoshi, and Peter over in Europe for our level 1 program TAs. Thank you to our marketing department. I'll tell you, if you are serious about learning how to actually participate in these capital markets, and I don't mean the bullshit shill that you hear, disregard technical analysis, just buy and use my referral code and you'll make $1 million. And of course you go fucking broke. That's not what we do at TRI. It's not even remote. Like I said, if anything, we give away too much stuff. The gentleman who's actually in charge of this blog, Great Del Moody, I think he had to leave, but I sure hope you're reading this free blog. This is another free asset that you can take advantage of that just gives you such incredible edge over the market, in the market. I mean, basically, I even spent the other day trying to, insist that I think CNBC, the people that are on that damn channel should come and actually take our education program, and we'll teach them a few things so they'll actually do this game correctly. And, then there's the debate as to what the hell CNBC is actually really built for, but that's another conversation. And then also, too, the gentleman who's actually writing this blog, and he's doing a fucking yeoman's work, but he's actually also in charge of our social media. And keep in mind, this is Brian. Brian's just a goofball. So you can follow Brian, and Brian, of course, swears a lot and is angry and shaking his fist in the whole world and all that. But Josh here, this is sort of the official TRI Twitter feed, the PMA feed. And Josh is it's a beautiful work of art what these people are doing here. So thank you so much. Chris, our show producer, director, is angry, and he's the one who's actually responsible for putting together, and I'm not even quite sure how to show you this, these little short videos. And actually he runs the daily brief and the weekend shows and stuff, but he also puts together these little short videos with the help of Josh. And I gotta say, man, this is it's beautiful work what these guys are doing. It's absolutely beautiful. This place TRI, like, my wife came to me shortly after she passed away from the other side, which I know probably all of you are saying, oh God, here he goes. But she came to me after she passed and she said, Brian, you have the opportunity to make a serious, a positive difference in this world. And, by golly, that's exactly what we're doing. One person at a time. One meeting at a time, one student at a time, one tweet at a time. Just trying to slowly make a positive difference in this world. And I think we're making a dent. And the good part about it, like I said, this is like 35 years of my career. I mean, I've done almost every job in the financial services industry, people. Like every job you can think of. And this is the culmination of it. So we've got the school all sort of solidified, and it's great actually to see the instructors are even making the school program better with every term. It's great to watch people like Grim and Zach and Kiran in action, and Marat. Oh my goodness. We've got Sjord now. Basically, he's got the code for this secret weapon that gives us incredible edge in the market. And really, you know what my number one job is? My number one job is just to simply be the demonstrator of best practices. I've been playing this game forever, And literally every single day, all I do is I just show the good people that want to try and learn how to play this game, That's what I do. I like to trade the futures. I mean, that's what I've done all my life. I suppose I could probably add Bitcoin and Ethereum futures. But the point here is just that we're very blessed. Very, very blessed. I'm blessed to even be able to have the opportunity to come and talk to all of you on a weekly basis. My number one goal, of course, is to try and you leave this show saying, actually, I didn't know about that before. Maybe it's something somebody said in the... There's Great Delmoody, he's back. Maybe it's somebody like what Great Delmoody says in one of these shows that, hey, I didn't know that before. It's something I didn't have to pay. I didn't have to subscribe to something. I didn't have to jump through hoops. They just gave me this information out of the goodness of their hearts. That's really what tonight is all about. So I hope you feel as though you got some value out of this experience. I hope you hear the honesty and the sincerity in my pitch and my sale, if there is such a sale. And I hope you hear my honest desire to try and make a positive difference in your life. And with that, I think I will bid you all adieu. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Ben. It's an honor working with both of you. Thank you very much for the positive karmic feedback and thoughts for Liam. And God bless all of you. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. PMA for the win. All the best. And bye for now.